Perhaps this term does not go far enough in describing the effect of these patches, for in truth, they are more than just a jumble of fixes. They can, on occasion, define an era.
I remember everyone was complaining about one patch 7 years ago, like troll sniper meta.
Impossible to push high ground, and like if you lost one fight, you lost the game, and it was like that was probably not the most highest quality Dota, but that was a patch, okay.
I had my game plan every game. Like I didn't care about what's broken. Sniper sitting there, like shooting me. Who cares? I just go farm.
People kind of tunnel vision like the conclusion of it, or like whatever they see. But like to me, the patch is like a journey. You know, it's like a journey, right? It's more than just the end result. The Sniper Medusa troll, there was like some fun games there.
There used to be a time where Tinker was like really broken with the March.
Tinker was one of the very annoying ones when he still had March of Machines. You can never push high ground because there is just like a guy spamming robots at you.
You can like stack with your March and farm at the same time at mid, so it was just so broken, and people who play a good Tinker will just like pick it and just own every game, you know.
I remember one of my first matches, I was on EG 2012, right? I was just like a boba, like not many people knew me back then, you know. I was just an NA Dota person, and I just played Tinker, and I remember we beat Navi in some game, and then I did the March abuse. I think I was the first pro to do it in the game. I loved that patch.
So it was Bulba who pioneered Tinker farming ancients with March of the Machines. He's the one to blame. Sam. Surely you get enough hate mail as it is. As for patches, well, you heard it there. Barring a lone dissenting voice, the pro players are in agreement. That patch was an abomination! I'm sure our next will be different, though.
When like those zoom metas are way too broken with like, for example, those Necronomicon and people stack those auras.
Ты просто брал зоопарк, ты клавиатуру убираешь в сторону, выделяешь мышкой, направляешь, ты победил. Поздравляю. Многому научился.
确实就是在 TI3 到 TI4 打 TI 之间吧，就是包括 TI4 比赛的时候，就是很多人都会选什么先知、什么剧毒，就一直来推你。后面威慑可能也觉得很无聊吧，就把那个塔防什么的都改掉了，就是每次推一个塔就会刷一个塔防。当时可能是被 VG 一直推。
I love that patch. Look. I'm a level 25 Furion almost, so I love that hero too.
In 2015, you would pick Leshrac, and all his spells were insanely overtuned, and there would just be a rainbow horse running around the map killing everyone. No one could do anything to this hero. I remember even at TI5, like, we didn't ban this hero versus eHome, I think, and after the game, we're like, no more playing against Disco Opponent, we can't do it.
That patch was so good. The games were so good. Gyro, Leshrac, like C-Deck, they kind of came out during TI, like Undying, Tuskar, like Techies was like, come on, that patch was so good. People just tunnel, like I said, they're just tunnel visioning to Leshrac. Yeah, Leshrac was busted, but like Leshrac even got beat near the end.
Dota is, was, and always shall be about more than just the heroes. Sometimes, the very fabric of the game world itself can become so corrupted and evil that players become lost and confused, even angry. One such patch involved gold. Traditionally, the better you performed, the greater your chances of winning. Logical enough. But at one point, doing very, very well was merely setting yourself up for a fall as the scales of Dota justice became unhinged and insane!
You would be ahead the entire game, and then you would sort of make one mistake, and the NA Spectre would get like AoE gold on the kill and get 2,000 gold. There was no comeback to the comeback. Once they came back once, it was just over.
You have a 30k lead, you die with one hero, suddenly that 30k lead is a 20k lead. Mathematics weren't the strong point at Valve that year.
Icefrog goes on a whim and thinks about like, oh, this could be kind of fun. Let's just
fucked the whole game up.
That patch, I literally wanted to quit Dota. There was 2 strategies back then. I remember one of them was just the R buttons. You just had to get every AoE spell with the big R buttons. We got the Phoenixes, get the Tide Hunters, get the Juggernauts, the Jug Mag, get that going, And you sit there on your high ground with the ward, and you're like, they're gonna throw. Just wait, they're gonna throw.
You were winning the whole times, and then one fight is completely turned. I think it's kind of not balanced.
I mean, the game plan was just click the Spectre button as fast as you can, and if you succeeded, then you won. Or the Storm Spirit button. Those were 2 very good buttons. Without them, it was difficult to succeed.
That patch was bad. Okay, I'll +1 that one. That was a bad patch.
It appears we all have our limits after all. You know a patch is bad when Sam, defender of all patches, admits defeat. But our beloved developers won't. Spare a thought for them. Attempting to balance a game with 123 heroes, an ever-increasing and uncountable number of abilities, items, interactions, creeps, neutral creeps, buildings. Well, you see where I'm going. Balancing Dota is the classic Sisyphean task. And yet, correct me if I'm wrong, but you love it, don't you? You thirst for the patches. You want the patch. You crave it. You sicken me. Good night.
Wise lessons indeed from Imperium Flax. And yes, patches define Dota 2, and with that, heroes define Dota 2. And the current patch and the current hero pool, there's one hero in particular that is kind of defining this TI so far, and it is Marcy, and Tsunami would like to talk to you about that.
Yeah, Pyrion can take you back in time. I want to tell you what's going on in modern Dota. Last time you tuned into TI, you may have seen a hero announcement. You may have seen this hero be announced. You may have seen Marcy. And you may be wondering, why is she so good right now? She was added to Captain's Mode around June. You'd think she'd be balanced by now, but not the case. Not the case with the most picked hero. What does she do? I'll give you a quick breakdown. Come on over here. So 4 spells, as is traditional with most heroes. First one, it's called Dispose. I say liken it to like a Rubik telekinesis. Basically, grabs any unit, takes them to Suplex City, tosses them behind her. Can be used for initiation, can be even used to grab allies out of tough situations. So if you see someone and you're like, oh, I didn't know they had a 4-staff, they don't. It's just Marcy being balanced. Second spell, it's called Rebound. This one also has a whole host of features to it. It can be an initiate, it can be a buff, and it can be an escape. It can be an initiate because basically she picks one allied unit to target, she runs to it, and then you pick a landing location. Wherever she lands is a stun. That's the initiate. The buff part is because whoever she bounces off of gets a move speed increase, which is pretty great. And what was the third one? It's so difficult to keep track of how many features she has. Oh, right, it's an escape because she runs like 1,000,000 miles per hour. Third spell, Sidekick. It's the least glamorous of them, but probably one of the most popular reasons why she's viable in competitive Dota. Gives any one allied hero and herself a buff for around 7 seconds of 50% lifesteal. Yeah, that's the number. And she has a talent. Makes it go all the way up to 65%. Who needs to buy Satanic when she can just give it to you for free? And her last spell, in case she didn't already have enough going her way, Unleash, her ultimate. Because why not give a support hero some right-click? Why not give her some DPS? This is what makes her so terrifying. She can initiate with her Rebound and then instantly beat down some enemy support, 100-0, with this right-click spell. And, you know, obviously, she should be the most picked hero if that's the result, which so far, after all of group stage and after the first 2 days of main event, it's looking like that's the case. So why don't we, okay, yeah, let's get the hell out of here. You ready? Because I want to show you a little bit more about the upcoming expectations of what we're doing here in this studio. I want to show you a little thing we like to call the Hall of Heroes. It's what we want to really give the emphasis, the grandeur.
Oh, there she is.
There she is. You see her? She's hiding there.
She's awful.
Well, you're an isolated incident, Jenkins. She's incredibly popular, and you're going to be seeing more of her in the coming days. So that's all you need to hear from me. The rest of it, you'll see in the gameplay.
She's great if she's on your team, actually.
That's true. That's true. And
That's
no,
when she's good.
for some reason, if on my team it doesn't work, but on the enemy team works great.
Exactly. It's the allied Marcy versus enemy Marcy. It never ends. Same with Pudge.
It never ends,
Some
indeed.
heroes.
Some heroes. And Marcy, I mean, we're definitely going to see her more today, if not on the pick side. She's probably going to get banned. It's time to start talking about our first series of the day as well, because I do want to talk about the first two lower bracket matches we've got coming your way. We've got two lower bracket matches. We got OG versus GAIMIN Gladiators, and then we also have Liquid versus Entity. And we got a little bit of a Western European brawl. What's happening?
We do have 6 Western European teams still at the international. We're going to send 2 home today, so that's going to reduce the number, but
Hey, quit screwing around.
I lost track of my thoughts.
It's all good. It's all good. It is that time. As we can see, as we can hear, our first series of the day is going to be OG and GAIMIN Gladiators. Let's get GAIMIN Gladiators on that stage.
GAIMIN Gladiators.
They started their run in the lower bracket. They won their best of ones, and now it's on to the best of threes. And we know that these guys are fine with playing on the stage. They get powered by it. The same thing can be said for those opponents, though. It's time to bring on stage OG. It's been a bit of a regional affair for OG thus far. They started out in that upper bracket up against Tundra, and they do fall here and start up in the lower bracket again against a Western European team. They are very familiar, of course, with these opponents. That can be said for both, and that will be the deciding factor here in this game. Who knows who best? And I think there's one thing we need to talk about as well, because Effie, when we're looking at a bracket like this, it's all about who can adapt best, who can learn the most from losses, from wins as well. And I've not asked this before, but I'm going to do it. Do you have straight up a favorite in terms of who learns the best?
Who learns the best out of every team in this tournament?
These two teams. These two teams.
Honestly, I have faith in OG in terms of adaptation, just simply because they have excelled throughout the entire year, and they've proven to find their own way in the meta time and time again, whereas GAIMIN Gladiators started off the DPC year excellent in a really convincing fashion, but towards the end they started to fall off. It got to a point where people were actually calling them a one-patch team just because they were so disappointed in their Tour 3 performance. They didn't even qualify to Arlington, but I think that's a bit of a disservice to GAIMIN Gladiators as well. I don't think they're a one-patch team. I think they were a little bit shaky, but they are a team that is also capable of adapting.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, I feel like this team is very similar to Tundra in the sense that even when they were losing, people were looking at them for innovations. Like, they just think differently about the game. GAIMIN Gladiators, pre-1 minute, they're the team that I've seen that does the most pre-horn. They just seem to think they have this idea that, like, people don't do enough pre-1 minute. Like, they do crazy stuff with passing the wards off, making it look like they're warding on supports and smoking and revealing the smokes of certain heroes. So, yeah, they're very innovative. But OG, also a team that has largely defined the meta, mostly because they just win and online and on LAN. But a big innovation from them was the tri-core farming style offlane, which basically everybody is doing now. That is essentially the meta. But OG was one of the first teams to popularize that.
GAIMIN Gladiators are also inventors in their own sense. When they started the DPC Tour 1, they were running the tri-lane, aggressive tri-lane, something that other teams in other regions were also not doing. So they were meta setters. But in the end, as Effie said, they're kind of going downhill. But I think this W that they got after beating Fnatic could lift their spirits. Yeah. But if you're looking at the results, things are looking slightly grim for GAIMIN Gladiators. Out of last 5 series, they did lose 4, and all 5 of those series were 2-0. So kind of expecting another 2-0 here.
But not just that, with GAIMIN Gladiators, I always think about their coach, Immortal Faith. It seems like he is one of the thinkers in Dota. Yesterday we touched up on the coaches in TI briefly, and we talked about the big role that they have in the team. But amongst all of the coaches, I would attribute potentially Immortal Faith as probably the coach with the most impact in terms of how he shapes his team's gameplay to what he envisions as good in Dota.
And here's the results thus far between these two.
Wow, these are pretty crazy stats.
OG's winning a little bit more.
That's quite a lot.
It's quite a lot. It is quite a lot indeed.
I will say, though, at the start of the DPC year, when Gladiators were feeling themselves, that's when they were beating GG.
That's when they were beating GG.
GAIMIN Gladiators versus OG. Game 1.
That's right, it's time for game 1. We got ourselves some draft to talk about because these two teams, they know each other very well. We know they scrim together, and what did they learn? How much does momentum count? How much does it count that one team is coming off one hot win and one team is coming off 2 hot losses? I want to say that as well, because if you're GAIMIN Gladiators, you're going to look real hard at what Tundra did yesterday, Jenkins, and you're going to try to copy that, maybe. Or do
That's right. That's right. That's right, Cheever.
So true, Jenkins.
Yeah, I mean, Tundra definitely shellacked OG. Yeah. I think we saw that they figured them out. OG didn't exactly stick to their guns in game 2. They picked the Timber instead of the SK, but it looked like Tundra had also had a solution for that. So the thing is, with OG coming into this one, is I feel like that was OG is very comfortable with these few strategies. Tundra figured both of them out to a degree. So I think GAIMIN Gladiators is not just going to have it easy, where like OG is going to come in with different stuff regardless of who they're playing against, because they lost to Tundra with their 2 primary things that are running throughout the group stage.
One advantage that OG has is having much bigger hero pool, especially from the carry position, because like the whole squad of GAIMIN Gladiators have very limited hero pool, one of the lowest ones, second lowest actually, and yeah, as expected, like this team is very easy to predict what they're going to go for. This Enchantress, this was their bread and butter throughout the DPC, all 3 DPC seasons pretty much.
Yeah, this is interesting because OG go for that first phase Naga Siren, which we don't really see that often. This is kind of a really big statement of confidence in this series, right? They're just going for a hero that is potentially something that can be much easier to set up for in the second phase. And I know that some teams have experimented with Naga a little bit and that it's not necessarily the carry, right? Some people have tried to run it as offlane. I don't think I've seen people play it as support anymore ever since the Meteor Hammer patch.
Wildcard played it in the last chance qualifiers, I think. Yeah, like it was just them.
But
it's the same 2 heroes that OG did beat them in game 1 7 days ago. They did have Naga Siren and Snapfire, so I mean, it's a lot of team fight. It's a lot of way to reset the team fight as well, a lot of magical damage. I think you can also shift this Naga Siren to position 4 if necessary.
Potentially, but maybe OG are just going for this carry Naga, and they're just going to expand bans to defend it now, right? This Brewmaster ban, it makes sense, for sure. Brewmaster obviously banned out versus Naga, so he doesn't dispel her illusions. But I do want to say, though, since we talked a little bit about OG, I have faith in GAIMIN Gladiators and how they're going to approach this patch, because if you guys remember back all the way to Tour 1 when they were having their dominance in the DPC Tour, they actually placed 2nd, I believe, or something really impressive like that, and 1st in the regional finals. But they were the team that was most close to Tundra in playstyle. The two fastest teams in that patch, in that meta, in that Tour 1 were GAIMIN Gladiators, who were Team Tickles at the time, and Tundra. They had a very similar playstyle where when they would win, it was an oppressive win. They would win in 25 minutes, and they would just take over the map entirely. So if Tundra have hit their stride, and they have a similar type of high-paced, high-tempo gameplay, then I do think that Gladiators themselves may have looked at it and are going to try to imitate it a little bit.
Yeah, and GAIMIN they're back to their bread and butter. Speaking of Tour 1 that you were mentioning, Effie, they basically invented this carry SF thing, and so this coming back for this patch is very convenient for this team. I think Enchantress is quite solid, and they, you know, like you said, they look at Tundra, they see they're picking Spirit Breaker, even though this is not a particularly strong hero, and they say, okay, what were we winning with this year? It was Celery playing Enchantress right in front of the enemy team's face. Yes, he ends the game 1-17, but guess what?
He wins you the lane.
He wins you
hard.
Everybody else is farming, and he's even farming while feeding because he's just buying out before he dies.
But it's interesting because Gladiators didn't just invent the safe lane SF meta back in Tour 1, they also invented the safe lane Kunkka meta, and having it be...
And TA.
Yeah, having it be the standalone laner while they go aggressive tri-lane. They had a lot of cool things that they did early on, so it's just nice to see it kind of taken back to where it all began this year.
Yeah, I would not put it past them to aggro try this game, even though there's like no reason to do it right now, just because I feel like GAIMIN Gladiators, when they're in a place of pressure, that they'll do what they're comfortable with, which is aggro trying. Yeah.
But speaking of pressure, OG is one of the teams that plays incredibly well under pressure, right? They've always been able to come back in very difficult situations, and even though yesterday may have been a bit of a blow to their confidence, I have faith that they've recovered today.
And Tiny picked up by GAIMIN Gladiators. They needed some kind of a stun, something on low cooldown to be able to keep people in place. Enchantress very good early at the rotating, potentially getting a Centaur, pressuring the towers. But I think this Invoker pick kind of does a lot for OG, where you have magical damage against the Shadowfiend once his BKB's down, against the Enchantress, they don't have that much physical damage, and a lot of ways to control. Like, this hero is not that easy to gank onto mid lane.
Yeah, and surprising that they do pick up that Tiny on the side of GAIMIN Gladiators, because they didn't play it at all during the group stage. First of all, did they play it against Fnatic last 2 days ago?
No, they've never picked it.
I was about to say that, like, because GAIMIN Gladiators, they're, as we said, very predictable as a team, but this Silencer, I don't like it. I even suggested the other day that Naga Siren could be a potentially good pickup, because you do have the first item you build is Manta style, so you dispel the global, and then you reset the whole fight with your sleep. So I'm not a big fan of this Silencer.
I mean, there's a couple of things going for this Silencer, honestly.
Sure, stopping the Snapfire ulti is always going to be good.
And not just that, right? Invoker is a hero who does not like to build an early BKB. He likes to go for those 1 or 2 items, and it just depends on the flair or the style of the Invoker player, whether they're going to pick up the Witchblade or the Vessel or the Blink into the Troubles, what have you. Yeah, it just depends on that player. But when you're playing against a Silencer as an Invoker, you're often forced to buy a BKB. So that is a little bit of an inconvenience to the hero. So I don't necessarily think that it's bad per se, but I do agree with you, Lacoste, in that it just isn't that great if it's not countering something huge like an Enigma.
It's a lot of minus armor from OG already. It opens up the Roshan, like one big fight. Like, OG is going to be controlling Roshan with their lineup this time around, because you do have Naga Siren, you have Invoker that can easily get in there, and then you have 3 heroes that do have minus armor. So this is going to be very difficult, I'd say, for GAIMIN Gladiators to come in and contest.
It's also going to be a little bit difficult depending on whether this SF is going to be played mid or on a safe lane, simply because if you have this Snapfire and Slaughter lane, typically an SF does do well versus melee heroes, but when you have the Snap who gives you the cookie, the ability to gap close, that suddenly does put the SF's life in danger if it is safe laner. And if not, OG are in a really good position to set something up for the mid lane to have a good matchup versus SF. But we've talked about the Tiny a little bit. Yesterday, a lot of teams showed us, particularly South America, that Tiny can still be played incredibly effectively as a mid laner, and he does not necessarily have to be played as a support. So lots of flex potential in these 2 heroes on Gladiators.
I feel like if this game goes very late and like OG gets any amount of a lead, they are going to be insanely oppressive. Like, it's really hard for GAIMIN to come back just because they have like Cataclysm with the Naga Sleep. Snapfire ulti, which of course can be cancelled by the global. They have all this minus armor. They have alacrity as well for the Naga Siren. It feels like GAIMIN is banking right now on like winning the lanes and snowballing, which is their playstyle. So
it is, but also like this lineup is very difficult to play from behind, having Enchantress and Silencer. So if you lose the laning stage, even these heroes cannot gank. Like you need to snowball from the laning stage really hard. Your only playmaker right now is this Tiny. So Tiny needs to have a good game. He needs to be very active. Enchantress, of course, first 10 minutes, you know that always going to be good, especially when Celery is playing it. And looking at the bans, it's Faceless Void, Templar Assassin. So maybe GAIMIN Gladiators, they do have more information about this Naga Siren not being a carry.
I was thinking this Naga Siren could actually have been played by OG in scrims or something like that as a support, as a means to set up the team fights, right? Because if you look at their heroes, they do have strong team fighting heroes if they have something like a sleep to just get the positioning well. They have the Slardar who can blink in on the key target. They have the Mortimer's Kisses coming out of Snapfire, and of course the Invoker who would love to press Cataclysm on top of a song. It's a really cool combination if you can pull it off. It does absurd amounts of damage, so that could be a nice play that they're looking to do here. But even if the Naga was played as a carry and the pivot does not happen, it still looks like a pretty solid Naga game.
It does. I'm already looking forward to Celery stealing some of those Naga illusions, Forge Spirits as well. Definitely add some extra oomph to that Enchantress first pick.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to just send an illusion down a lane and always push one lane out. Like it makes the illusion so much more powerful too because you get the Ench buffs on it. I could see, by the way, Boom maybe picking up a Storm here. Well, actually, wait, no, sorry, that would be, we're looking for an offlaner, right? This is Ace's hero.
Yes, I would imagine so, because I really don't want to see Silencer as a core, so I hope that the Tiny and the Shadow Fiend will just be your position 1 and mid.
A lot of offlaners banned, even banning out the Tidehunter, which is an Ace specialty, which he's not played at the tournament so far.
And there's some insider information going on here for sure.
Also, Enigma is still in the pool. Am I seeing this right?
You are seeing this correct.
You are.
And the Enigma Silencer combo. I mean,
wow.
There's no way.
It's good, but again, the playmaking option, their team fight's going to be strong with the Global, with the Requiem as well. I'm a little worried that it's
all
a bit too greedy.
It's all on Tiny if they pick Enigma, but it is, you know, the second or first most contested hero of the tournament, and it's last phase pick.
But yeah, it's just so cool how the meta develops sometimes where some team matchups don't care about picks that we see often. Even in Tundra versus OG yesterday, the Primal Beast was neglected in the game 1, the Marcy was untouched. Like, it's just very telling of how well these teams know each other.
So they go for more of the illusion counter. Oh, they're gonna...
That's Scary Monkey.
That's gonna be Carry Monkey, and it's a support Naga. So they baited out the Underlord and then immediately pick the lane counter and the Monkey. They're very smart.
Yeah, Taiga on the Naga.
So the question is this an Ags Rush Invoker to play with this song, or is it just gonna be played the normal BZM style?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I feel like it is a little hard to hit the song into Cataclysm combo, especially when there's like the global to, you know, disengage and turn the fight. So I could see him going for like the BKB, like you mentioned, and playing like less greedy early game items, and then eventually building into the Aghanims once they have the global counter.
Yeah, I really like this last pick, Monkey King by OG. It's going to have a great lane. The BKB timing is going to be incredibly powerful, and the Wukong's command is a really nice way to fight back against heroes like Enchantress, so want to push towers early on. So
it's also a great way to counter global. You do buy an early BKB, pop that Wukong's command, you know that they're not going to be able to get in.
Yeah, we're going to find out how it's going to play out, and I believe we get some extra insight with Slacks and Coach Immortal Faith for GAIMIN Gladiators.
I'm here with Immortal Faith, the only reason any of you have any MMR. Thank you for the guys, Mr. Faith. Incredible draft there coming out. A lot of comfort heroes coming for you with the Shadow Fiend and the Enchantress, but a very negative armor-heavy lineup against you. Are you feeling confident with that last pick that you guys will be able to survive?
Of course.
Thank you for the in-depth analysis. Fantastic. Now, the panel did say a bit of a predictable draft coming out from you. They called a lot of your picks there. Any thoughts on them saying that it was a bit predictable?
Maybe it was too good.
Maybe it was to them.
Yeah, but we knew what OG are going to play as well, right?
All right, all right. Mr. Faith, give it to me straight. You going to win this?
Yes.
Hell yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Immortal Faith. Best of luck to you. And we will pass it over to the creator of the greatest custom game ever made. He gave me $100 to say it. Thank you so much. It's Suns fan and Synderen.
Thank you.
Slacks. A rare compliment. I'm actually thrown off here. Sunsfan here with Cinder and OG versus GG. Should be a pretty hype match, my friend. My good friend that I don't have to pay to give compliments to me.
Yeah, I will just say it straight up. It is terrible. But you should play it. It's actually a great game. So, yeah, we saw the stats, right, going into this. GAIMIN Gladiators kind of have their work cut out for them. So in the last 21 games, they're down 17-4, which is, I want to say, among like teams of this caliber, one of the most lopsided scorelines that I've seen. At least, yeah, I can't really think of any other, to be honest, that's that lopsided.
Probably your career versus any other team would be comparable.
But that's not at the high level anymore, Shannon. That's a long time
ago. At one point it was. That is true, though. Yeah, but you could look at the other side of the coin, though. That's a lot of learning opportunities. We've seen, of course, it's throughout the entire year, so that's a lot of games. But we've seen a lot of people, you know, lose a series and then come back in the lower bracket and then face them again, and actually it's like a reverse sweep, essentially.
Yeah.
They didn't face in the upper bracket this time. It was through group stage, so they've had a little extra time. I expect them to come out and give OG a good match at the very least.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, here on the main stage, I believe we've only had 2-0s so far, if I'm not mistaken, right? I don't think a single series has gone 3 games. I think in this series, that is definitely a possibility that would go the distance, because between these two teams, as you said, I think, so first of all, there's been opportunities for GAIMIN Gladiators to learn how to adapt to OG during this tournament, but I think it's also probably fair to say that neither team has looked their best, right?
That's true.
OG has had a very dominant year in a lot of other tournaments, but here they kind of barely scraped by and got into the upper bracket, I believe in 4th place in their group, and GAIMIN Gladiators obviously starting in lowers and getting that win against Fnatic yesterday.
I mean, that's what happens when you win every tournament. They nerf your heroes.
Get nerfed. I mean, we've been talking about how it's kind of funny to see how, because Amar isn't absolutely trashing, it feels like he's underperforming, because we're just used to seeing Amar just completely take over games. And a lot of the heroes that he has been doing it on, obviously because OG have been winning these tournaments and it's been meta defining, some of his strategies have been nerfed. We've seen the Razor, we've seen the Timber get nerfed quite a bit recently, but still, GAIMIN Gladiators banned them both. They just have so much respect for this guy and what he brings to the team that they'd rather play against some of the heavy meta stuff than Amar's specialty heroes. Speaking of which, he's playing the Slardar this game, so this is, in my opinion, one of his absolute best. I was looking at the stats last night for a number of heroes played in OG, and he easily has the fewest together with Chu, but he was a stand-in for 1 tournament.
Sure. Oh, Dota might be in some trouble here. Getting blocked a bit by the illusions of Taiga. And it looks like he'll be okay, but takes heavy damage here at the beginning of the game. I'll try to walk away.
Something worth pointing out about the way OG approached this draft as well was, Duracho actually taking a lot of damage here. We'll get a couple of races in if he wants to, just one though. Opening the face with Naga when you have the absolute last pick of the draft does give you that flexibility option where you can switch it over to support. And what OG essentially accomplished was that they kind of forced GAIMIN Gladiators' hand to at least pick some sort of solution to carry Naga. And then when they don't like the matchup enough, they just swap it over to position 4 with this minus armor strategy they have. I think OG's lineup in itself has incredibly much, I don't know if you want to call it internal synergy, like the way the heroes play off each other. You have so much physical damage with minus armor, alacrity, whereas GAIMIN Gladiators' strategy is, as the panel pointed out, very much early heavy. I think it's super important for them that the lanes go well, but they are on a lot of comfort, and to me, maybe the unsung hero. Everybody's talking about Marcy, right? You know, it's like Marcy, Enigma. I think Tiny is still undervalued in this tournament. I think this hero is incredible right now, and they will grab that for Boom in this game, and he's one of the very best.
Yep, Duracio still sitting on relatively low HP, but no way to really catch up to him right now. The raise way off here from Duracio. Maybe a little nerves here on the stage. I mean, one thing we should mention about GAIMIN Gladiators, they started out the year extremely well. I can't remember the name of that. It was the regional finals or whatever it was called. They did really well. And then the second major they placed really well. And it feels like since then, they've basically, when they qualified for TI, I don't know if they've dropped off or teams have just figured them out a little bit better, because they just haven't looked quite the same since that point.
I mean, I think this tournament has had plenty of surprises, right? And I think something worth keeping in mind is looking good in groups does not necessarily translate to the main stage, right? We've had examples this year, probably the most glaring one, with EG winning their group and then losing 4 games back-to-back on the main stage. It's a thing, you know, like you can have really good days, you can have bad days. The days you want to peak is on the main stage. And I think something that's really good for GAIMIN Gladiators in general is that, oh, hang on.
Nice cookie. He's going to close the gap here for Yuragi to right-click Tofu. Pops that Fairy Fire, but the Jingu is up, and First Blood goes to Yuragi. Gets a little bit of HP back thanks to the Boundless Strike Jingu combo. But OG first on the board.
And this is a very good lane matchup for Monkey King, one of the most formidable laners against the Underlord. So getting a little bit of a head start down.
Another curry? No way.
Very good. Oh, he is.
He's faster. Yeah.
He'll
One
get
more will do
my
it.
God, that is.
I think he didn't get Duracio's curry the first time, right? It was somebody else's, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was Celery's. I mean, this is really bad news for Duracio. That was his salve as well as Wraithband, so a lot of laning presence just out the window here for him.
Yeah.
Still has the 2 mangoes to work with, so I would say this should be a Shadow Fiend favored lane. Like, Slardar is a melee hero who has no ranged way of farming creeps, so every time you want to go and get a last hit, you're exposing yourself to getting raised comboed. But so far, so good for Amar, right? He's 13-3 against the basically exact same CS scoreline for the Shadow Fiend. And that is while playing with support Naga, who honestly doesn't really offer that much for a Slardar most of the time, right?
Offers courier killing potential, apparently. You can see another cookie setup kill onto Tofu. Jingu with the Scatter Blast. And second kill in this lane for Yuragi and OG overall, who, I mean, like you said, even in this off lane, for Amar, doing quite well to start this game. He's going to take a raise, though. Gets a crush off, but no one in the vicinity. So he'll have to back away as the Tango's slowly bringing him back up to a healthy amount.
I gotta say, man, I don't want to play Silencer Underlord lane in this game. I feel like Silencer's job is so difficult. You need to offer some sort of presence for the Underlord, because if you don't, he just gets bullied out of the lane by the Monkey King snap. But if you come even remotely close, you get Boundless struck into a cookie and you just die, right? So it's just really, really difficult, and it goes to show how powerful this pick from OG was. I was wondering if GAIMIN Gladiators were actually going to opt to go for some sort of tri-lane to try to solve this laning problem, because they're one of the teams that likes to do that. But the issue is, I don't think Underlord enjoys either side lane. Otherwise, we'd be playing against Slardar, which is also not great. So you kind of had to choose the lesser evil here, and unfortunately both of them, for that guy, are not the best. Ace is getting great farm though, gotta say. 23-7 is very impressive against this lane, but it has cost a lot of potential for Tofu's ability to scale somewhat in this game on the Silencer.
Right. How important is it for Ace to be kind of active on the under? Like, how fast do you actually get active on this hero with the Fiend's Gate? Because I can look at the OG lineup. You've mentioned the minus armor. They have amazing setup for Sunstrike in various ways.
Yep.
Like, their lineup makes sense. But from GAIMIN Gladiators, it feels like there's some maneuverability here.
I think there's some interesting plays with a... Oh, hang on, bottom lane.
Yeah,
a lot of damage.
Storm comes out, but that's the stun onto Ace. And Yuragi not gonna go any further here.
I saw the glyph come out there. I think maybe GAIMIN Gladiators were expecting Yuragi.
Oh, the Hurricane onto Amar, but he gets the crush off and is A-okay. Taiga, he's gonna get the ensnare. A little bit extra damage to Celery, but Amar not in range to get a stun off.
How many courier kills we're gonna have this game? Is that 3?
Yeah, that was Ace taking out the opposing courier here.
Finally, GAIMIN Gladiators got on the board on that account.
Indeed. We should have a courier death count somewhere.
How about
visible at all times.
How about a courier kill cam? That's fully zoomed in.
That sounds kind of, I don't know, that sounds kind of violent, honestly.
Oh, but you don't mind when the heroes die, right?
Yeah,
sure, yeah, but the couriers, oh, let's
but the squeal of a courier is just on another level.
Have you seen the couriers? A lot of them don't really... Okay, I mean, there's kind of a... Okay, I take that back. That's a really cute dog with a hot dog in the dire base. All right?
Could be Onion.
could be anyone.
Scatterblast onto Ace.
Amar's in trouble too.
The cookie setup. Boundless Strike. Sunstrike's coming as well. And Ace, one right click away, and Yuragi takes it. On the other side, Amar did fall to Duraccio. And Celery able to get out, so no trade at the top lane, but a trade basically globally for both respective position 3s. Taiga, Duraccio, another raise, but not quite enough to finish the job.
Pinecone?
The Pinecone is very scary.
It's too slow.
Very slow, as you would expect from an inanimate object.
Oh, it's still alive. It
be able to juke it successfully.
If it got to, what's it called again, the ability it has? You know this.
Seed Shot.
Oh, you actually knew.
I mean, that one's the dumbest name in the game, probably.
I forgot. It's not something you... Not a very called out ability.
True. Mid lane is one lane we haven't really talked about too much with BZM on the Invoker sitting on 37 and 11, and then 31 and 12 on the other side for Boom on the Tiny, who is now smoked. So if they can, I mean, with the TP coming into the top lane, we'll see if they can punish this a little bit.
Yep. This should be a good rotation. If they kill Amar again, they actually stifle his game
run
a lot
into
here.
Taiga instead. They won't be as happy with this potential trade. And Taiga will be the sacrifice for OG, which again, they're going to be relatively happy. Although he did TP there. He was the one that TP'd, so
he did, but it's a
long walk.
It's a much smaller prize to claim. And in the meantime,
lane, Cookie, so much setup for this Sunstrike, and Yuragi still ends up with the kill himself. And he is off to the races, 4-0 to start the game. All 4 kills.
And you can see what item build Ace has gone for to try to combat this, right? He's gone Phase Boots and Lace on the Underlord, but even then, the stuns into Sunstrike just too much. Doesn't have too much in the way of tankiness. Obviously, you have a bit of armor, but he now even buys a fluffy hat, right? He's just really trying to get all the small value items that he can to try to stay alive down here. Want to point out, by the way, when we see this Invoker pick, I think OG, correct me if I'm wrong, they basically never play Wex, right? I'm like trying to think to myself about the rate of going these builds on this hero, and even in the patch where everyone was playing Quas Wex Invoker, this guy was the one player who just basically never deviated. BZM plays an incredible Exort Invoker, and it also goes very much in line with OG's kind of ideology in the patch, right, where they want all 3 cores to scale. So where other Invokers would go Quas Wex, Rush Urn, maybe Vessel into Midas, BZM, he goes Brown Boots Midas, Exort, and he farms. And he joins fights globally with Sunstrike, and then eventually he carries the game from mid. So quite concerning for GAIMIN Gladiators, I have to say. It's not like this is a monumental lead by any means, the 1K, but BZM's having a great game, Yuragi's having a great game, and arguably their lineup just scales so incredibly well with minus armor on Radiant against Roche as well.
Is Amar going for a Midas as well? Yeah, looks like that is also the case.
Yeah, well,
that's his catch-up mechanic, I suppose, because he's kind of pushed out of lane to a degree. But we'll see if it ends up being a little... I mean, obviously, I would assume GAIMIN Gladiators, their response would try to maybe push a little faster, group up a little more before that can really truly come online.
It's just the most Amar thing ever, right? Like, a lot of other players, it's like, oh, my other 2 cores are doing really great. I'm gonna buy utility items on my starter, and they will carry the game. Amar is like, you guys are, oh well, BZM, you are level 30 on Invoker, so that's okay, but Yuragi, you're only gold tier Monkey King. I don't trust you. I will get the farm. Oh, nice sidestep.
Yeah, but he's going to take a full Wukong's command, trying to walk on the outskirts with the Boundless Strike into the Sunstrike again. Not even needed. Enough damage again for OG. And you talked about, I mean, again, not to harp on this more and more, but the Exort Invoker, I feel like it works every time. Every hero on your lineup has a stun or root.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's in the lane. You have a setup.
It feels like we might later on in the tournament, if it goes well for OG, or even later in this series as well, we might see the Invoker Nyx combo, right? This is a classic. Nyx has been very popular this tournament. We saw Secret the other day win 2 games with Nyx Dawnbreaker, which also was that very nice global presence. You would get the stuns into the Dawn ult. Invoker Sunstrike, similar logic. And we know for a fact that Taiga likes Nyx, and he plays a really good one, so it could definitely be something OG could look for in their later games.
OG. Some prowess here in the top lane. Gonna force GAIMIN Gladiators out to be able to take the tier 1 tower.
BZM is getting so much done mid. I mean, Duracho finally now will take out this siege creep, but mid tower down to 200 health. OG taking top tower, so effectively more or less grabbing 2 tier 1s at the 11-minute mark at the same time against an Ench lineup. That feels so good, as a wise man once said.
Yeah, I didn't even get that at first.
It wasn't on purpose. Then when I said it, I was like, oh no, here we go again.
Well, Boom is 1,500 into his Blink Dagger, and I think that is going to be the crucial point for GAIMIN Gladiators. They have to get stuff done with that, especially with the 2 Midases, which Amar...
Oh, but his might get delayed here, Yuragi.
Well, we have the initiation onto the Tiny now. Good global. The global silence to force OG back. And of course the TP as well from GAIMIN. And looks like there's not going to be any casualties here.
Yeah, there's almost perfect overlap between the cooldowns of these two spells. So Snapfire's ulti is 120 and Silencer's global silence is 130. So effectively, if you trade them off, you need to make a perfectly timed move with your next Snapfire ult to not have the silence available again. Seems like it was a big part of why GAIMIN did pick this hero in this game.
Dyrachyo, Requiem, there it is. Do they have the raise? Yep, and Ace is here as well.
Huge
Big kill for GAIMIN Gladiators off of the Invis rune from Dyrachyo. But it's going to get punished to a degree. Ace will fall.
Nothing comes for free. Balance. For the first time in the game, now a minor gold lead for GAIMIN Gladiators, which, you know, usually you would look at this with the perspective of, all right, that's good, let's keep it up. But we know this team, we know how they play. A lot of the games that they win, or at least this year that they've won with a lineup like this right now, the gold lead would be 2K, 3K. And you are playing against a lineup that's running multiple Midases, so you do need to keep that pressure going so that they don't just naturally find more gold on the map that you can't because it doesn't exist.
Right.
So,
well, Boom has his Blink Dagger.
Yeah.
See how fast they want to expose it, if you will.
I'd love to see, if possible, for GAIMIN Gladiators to, once they have global silence, try to make a smoke rotation with this tiny dagger, kill the Invoker mid, and look to pressure that tower with any strong Enchantress creep. It's a lot of things to have happen at once when you've already lost your top and mid tower, but I think you kind of need to get creative and start making invasive moves around the mid area, because otherwise OG are controlling what we used to call the triangle area. I don't know if we really should anymore because there's no third camp, but everybody knows it as that. But OG really want that area all the time because they are playing this greedy style with their Midas, and just Amar is also going and farming Ancients a lot of the time. So opening up the mid tower would give them more avenues to...
If you want to extend it a bit, and just the secret shop icon is the triangle.
That's true.
Point.
That's actually true on both sides. I like that.
Thank you, Cinderin.
You're very smart.
Thank you, Cinderin.
Once in a blue moon.
Well, the smoke gank didn't end up resulting in a kill, at least not yet, although Yuragi is hunting. Celery inside the tree line here. There's the vision. Celery is mega dead. But again, just the support for GAIMIN. Don't know if the Blink Dagger... what are they waiting for something specific? Are they waiting for the global silence to come back for Boom to reveal this Blink Dagger officially?
Not sure. It's possible that they were looking for a move, they didn't find the angle, and then OG were first to pounce, and they were like, all right, you know, the heroes that we were trying to gank, we didn't have time to catch, we're just back to farming. Like, you got to be efficient about it, right? If your move fails, make sure you get something done. But yeah, that was very unsuccessful here from GAIMIN. Fortunately for them, they only lost Celery, of course. Rather unusual in a monkey diet, Celery, but he was hungry enough that he opted for that.
Probably not.
I can tell you from experience that if you have to be really hungry to eat celery, so he must have been starving after that death.
Well said. Agreed. Vegetables.
Nothing wrong with vegetables.
Yep, vegetables.
Just celery.
Dyrachyo, what is he working on right now? He has the Mask of Madness and the Dragon Lance.
Yep.
See him farming the Ancients and is an Ogre Club into the BKB, so things have kind of slowed down, which we talked about against the Midas is maybe not the best of moves, but we'll see how it works out for GAIMIN. Echo Saber there for Yuragi as he's working towards his BKB as well. And obviously, from Amar's perspective, the Midas has been online for a decent amount of time, which now he finishes treads.
We will ensnare into Sunstrike into all my spells into Artyom coming, or Invoker. I have wards. We will ensnare into Sunstrike into all my spells into Artyom coming, or Invoker.
Oh, quickly back to live as Ace is dead, so we didn't get to see that gank in its full juicy perspective, Cinderin, but they did call what they were going to do, and they were successful.
Yeah, spoiler, it was a Sunstrike kill. Well, Invoker didn't get the last hit, but he was true as usual. I was about to say before we saw this, I mean, it still rings true, right? I think the most impressive thing about GAIMIN Gladiators this game is how much farm Ace has. He has 141 CS, he's topping the charts, and that was after laning against Monkey King Snapfire. Ace does a really good job in general for this team at finding a lot of farm. I think, you know, I think that was part of the reason that GAIMIN Gladiators were doing so well earlier in the year was when they were running these tri-lanes with Dyrachyo, they still, when they put Ace in the safe lane, he managed to just find a lot of last hits on the map in the jungle, just be very effective even with a bad start. And that's exactly the case here as well. He's 1 and 4, but his CS is very impressive. Boom.
Oh, Boom goes in, gets the Avatos, but it's on a support Naga. He gets Hurricane, but there's the song. Taking some damage from the Arcane Curse. He's just going to TP out in the midst of the song as the tier 1 tower will drop. in favor of GAIMIN.
It's still, this is what GAIMIN needed, right? They need to open that mid tower. So they do finally make this move and are successful with it. I like the choice there of holding the global. They could have killed the Naga if they wanted to, but they think the global silence is too important in order for them to go for their next objective, which is right here. And this goes very, very fast, actually. OG.
Yeah, they have to be careful. The Mortimer's Kisses are online. If OG have an idea this is happening, the Sunstrike is going to reveal a little bit, but Avatos back into the pit. Amar just dead. Just like that, as the Mortimer's Kiss is coming out into Dyrachyo, but the global silence counter that the panel talked about. And this is looking like a potential free Roche for GAIMIN now.
Yeah, OG just giving it up. They're not interested. They don't have their Slardar. They can't get in there.
Yep, and the zoning Requiem as Boom secures the Aegis for himself.
Interesting they didn't give it to the Shadow Fiend. I really thought you were going to put that one on Dyrachyo. I feel like this hero is often very vulnerable and gets a lot of value out of having the Aegis because you don't have to pop BKB on your first life when you get jump. Taking ults.
Yeah, Boundless Strike into the Wukong. Sunstrike's coming, but he is okay.
Dyer's bottom tower.
Trying to bait some TPs potentially, but nothing actually came.
Does have 15 armor, so Wraith Pact was on cooldown. Oh, he's actually going for the wave. Is Shiraki going to try him again here? No, not quite. But yeah, I love that move from GAIMIN Gladiators. Really good stuff. They not only do they get the Aegis, but keep in mind this Radiant lineup is incredibly good at killing Roche. So the fact that you take it away from them is almost as valuable as getting it yourself. Dyrachyo would have loved to have it now.
The Aegis could have been on him, but instead would have died twice in this scenario, I would assume. Although, you can see GAIMIN starting to pincer in a bit. The Avatos onto 3, Misha very low, nice Firestorm from Ace as Yuragi kind of separated from his team, attempting to TP out, and he will be able to TP successfully, just barely out. The Aegis was consumed.
Yeah, that's pretty good for OG. You're happy with that. You find the Shadow Fiend and you get the Aegis on the follow-up fight. All you lost was your position 5. That's great. Very, very good TP there out from Yuragi, obviously counting the stuns, knowing there's nothing left. The only cancels that they have are Requiem, which was dead, and then Underlord Root, as well as the tiny combo that was used immediately in the beginning, so good call there.
And OG with the 1K lead at the moment. But it does, again, I know that OG are kind of the favorites going into this series, but with these Midas pickups, I feel like the fact that it slowed down a decent amount, they've kind of nullified the Roche that GAIMIN was able to claim for themselves. It feels like it's OG's momentum right now to a degree, despite that Roche.
This aggressive move from OG could actually fail horribly. They don't know that they're visible under the ward.
And the toss, Requiem to follow. Yuragi is mega dead, and here comes Ace with the Fiend's Gate. Misha's going to be the second kill, so nice pickups for GAIMIN.
What a sick ward. Like, I totally understand OG don't expect there to be vision there minute 19 around their own triangle there, but that paid massive dividends. That's a huge kill on the Monkey King. They get a little bit of a bonus there. And obviously what OG were hoping for here was for the Shadow Fiend to go and farm the Ancients so that they could get that kill with Monkey Snap plus the Sunstrike. But GAIMIN Gladiators one step ahead. They knew it was coming, and they set the trap. And that's going to result in a BKB now picked up on Dyrachyo, and he's immediately eyeing up that Aghanim Shard. It feels like it's different how people progress from this point on SF. We've seen some people get the Shard, we've seen some people go straight Butterfly, we've seen people go Daedalus in this slot as well, Scotty, there's plenty of options for what you can do on SF. I think the Shard is nice though, for how the game is going right now. You want the extra, I mean, even just the extra little bit of fear is actually very helpful.
Why are you laughing? Isn't that the best part? It's so good.
I mean, it's half a second, right?
He gets initiated on by Amar, who pops his newly picked up BKB, continuing to bash away as the Wraith Pact is placed. The global silence is not really going to dissuade OG from continuing any further. And Taiga, he's going to get the backup of the rest of his team now. Now the focus is entirely on Ace, and the Mortimer's Kisses are going to be enough. Double kill for BZM off the back foot of this. 3 dead for GAIMIN as they are punished severely for entering OG's jungle.
And Global Silence there was expended, which means Misha could finally get to play a big part of his hero, which is always fun when you get to use your ultimate ability.
I have a mechanics question for you.
Yes?
For the Shadow Fiend, he has Specialist Array. How does that work if you get Shard and you're critting?
Pretty sure it only works in your main attack.
Okay.
I think it follows the same rules. I believe when this item came out, it actually synergized with Psyblades, but I think that got changed pretty quickly because you were Psyblading on all 3 projectiles, and that was kind of insane, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I don't think any of the secondary attacks carry anything. at all. No attack modifiers, no crits.
Gotcha.
You're right. I mean, it's still nice on SF because you hit really hard and you like its stats, so it is a good neutral item on him. I wonder if SFs, if they could choose, if they would prefer this over Grove Bow. I don't think they would. I think the SFs would rather have that still. The attack range and the magic damage increase is super nice on this hero.
As he's actually opting not to go for the shard this time, so it will be a Daedalus.
Oh, he did change. Did he change his mind? He has the shard, right? It's coming out. No, it's not. He went Crystallis. You're right. So he did change his mind. Yeah. I heard you laughing at the half-second fear. He's like, okay.
You were the one laughing. I like that. That's the reason I think it's good. Last year we were actually dumping on this shard. And they added the fear, and I think that makes a big difference.
It is definitely better now.
So we have a smoke now from OG as they enter the triangle of GAIMIN Gladiators. They're not
Ward is still there, but this time around, obviously not visible.
Yep, it's actually going to pop here, but they don't know that Boom is in the trees. So it looks like nothing will come of this other than potential wards here. Well, now they're heading towards the bottom lane.
GAIMIN just showed. I think they showed on this Naga illusion. At least one of their heroes did. They see Ace.
TP out. Ace might be the only one caught out, but the TPs are coming to the tier 2. It's caught inside the ice wall. And it's going to force some BKBs out of BZM, so not too bad from GAIMIN.
Yeah, there was no backup nearby, and Amar still doesn't have the dagger. So it's a nice setup from BZM. Landed the spells pretty much perfectly. Tornado, EMP, and ice wall and into the snap, but they didn't have any follow-up, and Ace is just way too tanky for him to deal with on his own.
Is the 4K lead mostly Midas related, you say? How much? I don't even know how to equate that at this point.
It's hard to say. I don't think it's mostly Midas. It's obviously starting to matter, but you also do have a 404 Invoker with 225 CS, right? So BZM is having an outstanding game here. I think that's, that's a really large part of the net worth difference. It's actually his difference down to the Shadow Fiend, who is playing a different role, is the net worth lead.
tower is under attack.
And yeah, speaking of the Invoker, relatively quiet game from Boom. I feel like when this guy plays Tiny, he has a tendency of really taking over games and popping off on these Tinies, Ember Spirits. The spirits that are very kill hungry are his best. Hasn't really found many opportunities.
Yeah, it felt like when he picked up the Blink Dagger, there was like a 6-minute period where they were just farming still.
Yeah, they finally found those 2 kills in their own triangle, right? That he was involved in. If he didn't find those, he would have had 3 total kills to his name in at 25 on Tiny. It's very low for sure. And it feels like, so in this game state, I think OG are so comfortable, which is the biggest concern really for GAIMIN Gladiators, is that it's got to be in the back of your mind that OG want this.
Yeah.
They want the game to stall out and nothing to happen. They will smoke themselves now with a better map positioning perhaps, but like they don't have to make a lot of moves as long as the lanes are in the right position. They feel very comfortable with just scaling up.
Yep, Celery, tanking the gank. Deleted. Or Alacrity, and yeah. Pretty much any hero would die there, so GAIMIN would be happy that it is Celery.
Yeah, with Alacrity, Treads, and Midas, you might almost have regular attack speed against Enchantress. Very good.
Maybe that's part of the reason for going it. He has the damage from his buddy in the mid lane.
I think you're going to see most Alacrities probably go in the Monkey King, right? But I mean, that's another nice thing about their lineup. Both heroes have the guaranteed procs from getting multiple attacks in, right? And you combo that with an attack speed hero. Very nice synergy again.
Yep, next Roche, 35 seconds away, and I think that's gonna GAIMIN have to get that one again. Obviously, the first time they got it, like you said, it was kind of taking it away from OG more than anything, but felt like they didn't really use it in any meaningful way. That's BZM. Not going to get gone on here by Boom, who is working on the Aghanim Scepter.
This is actually really good timing for Duracho, so we're only 10 away from Big Bad Stone Man. And they do have a DD on SF. Good vision here from OG, though.
Mortimer's Kisses going to reveal Celery here. Taking heavy damage, has the heal going, though. You can tell Amar, the blink is canceled thanks to the Arcane Curse. And Yuragi now resetting. A little bit of an awkward mini engagement here between the two teams as they know that Roche could be up.
Once again, great play from Tofu to not global there. It's very important that you have the right read. I think Nisha was maybe hoping to bait it out, because if he forces the global there, OG are very strong to contest Roche. But with that still in their arsenal, they have ways of solving the BKB Invoker going in, the BKB Monkey King. It's a really big part of OG's team fight that Monkey gets his ult off. And if they see him at any point and he has to pop BKB defensively before he ults, they just global him out when he starts channeling the ult. And it gives them a lot more space and time in the fight for SF and the Tiny to deliver. Yeah. Gonna see this is a really, really important moment. OG had the vision in the pit there. The Naga illusion as well as a Forge Spirit. Roche are pushing out mid lane with raises.
Yep, as Roche is already approaching the half HP mark. We'll see if GAIMIN can try to contest this, because this could be a turning point for them in this game, no doubt about it. They're going to run right into Misha, as Roche is abandoned temporarily, but Ace is caught out. Yuragi gets off his ultimate, but he's taking heavy damage, has to pop the BKB, and now everybody tries to reset as the global silence comes in. Kind of resets this fight to a degree as Boom gets the Avatos onto Misha. It's going to be close on this kill. Finally finds it. That's just the first death in this engagement. As you can see, Amar going to town on the BKB SF through the song. And he's going to find that kill relatively easily, but he's going to be traded as a double kill for Celery of all heroes. And it turns into a 3-for-2. BZM has to ghost walk away. Yuragi's still fine and healthy, as the rest of GAIMIN might have to reset a bit as 2 cores have died. And really the trade is for 2 supports as BZM nets the double kill thanks to that Sunstrike. And with that, GAIMIN have to abandon this for the time being. You can see that Roche still pretty healthy, so it's not going to be an instant take for either team.
I wonder this fight that we just had break out there, where Ace got effectively forced down to 20% before he got out of the Monkey King ult. I wonder what that fight would have looked like if they globaled the Monkey ult. So we see it here, right? Yuragi jumps in and channels the ult there. If you global, he's just going to pop BKB and ult again, right? So I guess there was just no way out of this, but it is a really important thing for OG in this fight that Ace is that low. If Underlord has a little bit more presence, he can offer more protection here for the Shadow Fiend by playing more aggressively in the fight, but he had to back off, and that gave Amar the angle to just go in straight away and just isolate Duracha out of the fight. And Shadow Fiend is that big damage dealer for GAIMIN. Oh, we're back to live here.
Yep, we have mass TPs onto the outpost as the Mortimer's Kiss is coming, but not that much damage applied. As you can see, inside the pit, Roche still pretty healthy, but OG going to try to start taking it now. Ace gets the Firestorm off, and here comes the tree volley from Boom, but not a whole lot of damage applied, mostly to Roche himself, as it looks like. Silence is going to get initiated, but Tofu gets the 4-step off just in time as BZM has to re-engage, has to reset completely as BZM is taking huge physical damage from Duracio. And both teams, neither have found a kill in this engagement, but GAIMIN feeling pretty nice to go inside this pit, at least at the moment. Man, such a tense moment here, knowing that this could be deciding the game potentially in the second Roche.
Yeah, Duracio could get the shard for free.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Very important.
Imagine that.
Yeah, they're starting to poke Roche a bit.
There is Song of the Siren. This is not safe.
Yeah. No Mortimer's Kisses at the moment, though. Here comes the Tornado. It's going to clip Duracio, and of course they have the spam of the illusions to give the vision here, as Roche just continually taking these tickles time and time again. Smoke out from OG. Requiem trying to buy some time to be able to take the second Roche, and they get it. Duracio with the Aegis and the Shard.
Did he just last him with Sunstrike?
Looks like they actually want to try to fight this. Is OG able to get the beautiful Meteor onto several heroes, but Tofu and company able to maneuver onto the other side of the pit. They haven't lost anybody here. Who did they get the Roche kill? No. Oh, you're right. Duracio snatched the Aegis, so
I think BZM Sunstruck the Roche.
Either that or an illusion from Naga, potentially.
I think it was Sunstrike.
Wow.
That's
I mean, either way, the Aegis and Shard are far more important at this stage than the gold that you
and
get.
they get the buyback on the snap, which is probably the least important out of all those four things.
All right, Requiem, yeah, Sunstrike, you're right. Oh my God, what are the chances?
50%.
Okay, well, thanks. Quick robot math there.
Yeah.
62.5% accuracy on the Sunstrikes, not too shabby. When every hero has a stun, basically, makes it a little easier.
Yeah, so depending on your perspective, maybe that's bad.
Maybe that's horrible, yeah.
Wow, you've missed 6 in this game?
Did Duracio eat the Shard himself? Yeah, I think so.
Do you eat it?
Of course, consume. That's the same as eating in my book.
Yeah, okay. We'll take that.
Okay. So Duracio with the Aegis for another 4 minutes.
This is actually a really strong time for GAIMIN Gladiators in 1 minute. Duracio's going to pick up the Daedalus at that point with that fresh free shard and the Aegis. I think GAIMIN Gladiators are finally going to start looking at some tier 2 towers and taking more control of the map. Maybe they will even do it before the Daedalus, but it just feels awkward to do it right now. You're 300 gold away, but maybe OG aren't interested in defending bottom anyway, in which case, you know, power to you. You can, one of the luxuries of having this Underlord is that you can send him top lane and he can connect with your team bottom with Fiend's Gate, kind of Dawnbreaker-esque gameplay that this hero can pull off. So they're not even too worried about ending up trading towers, but they should be worried about Ace's life potentially, trying to fade out a BKB here. Now he doesn't have the mana for it.
Yeah, TPs are coming, but he's done.
Amar.
TPs matter not. Wukong's command use from Yuragi, I guess that's going to be used to ward off the rest of GAIMIN that were potentially coming, and they'll take the tier 2.
It's a celebratory arena for the tower.
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, that's not where he wanted to get forced by Celery, I think, but it's okay.
I mean, OG have done a pretty damn good job of, I mean, they've been giving up the Aegises, but it feels like they're the ones with the Aegises in a lot of ways. Because GAIMIN haven't really been able to capitalize either time.
They have 2 of them.
Shut up.
Okay.
Oh, the Salkirus now on Amar. And the physical damage continues to be ridiculous from the side of OG. But it feels like both times that GAIMIN have had the Aegis, the lead has grown a bit for OG in some way.
Well, now we can start talking Midas, because now it's been quite a while, right?
Yeah.
Both Invoker and Slardar, I would guess, have used it about 10 times each, perhaps. So that will obviously start really mattering and racking up. And Amar, as a result, also with the extra experience, has now reached level 20. So that's the -4 Corrosive Haze armor talent. Now down to -24 total on that spell. Do you ever buy a shard on this hero at this point? Like, it feels like a pretty
good,
valuable purchase, right?
Yeah.
Especially considering what heroes you're playing with. A lot of the time, Slaughter wants to get it for free from the Roche, but Amar is prioritizing, for the time being at least, going for a Nullifier to prevent the Force Staffs, which is honestly the main thing keeping him from just flat out killing heroes on his own, right? Is that they're pushing them away with the Ench Force Staff, with the Shadowfiend Pike, and a Force Staff and Silencer too, right? They have 3 of them, so that Nullifier will be very valuable.
Well, GAIMIN with the Aegis, grouping up top lane, they get the tier 1, looking for the tier 2 next, but it's going to be a trade again as OG, despite not having the Roche goodies, are A-okay with this trade.
All right, it's forcing time.
Indeed.
Here we go.
Less than a minute left on the Aegis, so see how OG want to try to approach this.
Do they have any offensive Force Staffs?
Downline strike, and look at the damage! The Aegis is just gone like that. Now the Wukong's command into the Meteor, and Duraccio dies a second time in the blink of an eye. Ace has to BKB Fiend's Gate away, and the rest of GAIMIN have to ditch. Celery doesn't have that opportunity, and it looks like Tofu's TP gets canceled as well, so 3 dead as OG just on another level here. Now with a 12k lead.
Yeah, I was looking if there was a potential offensive Force Staff play there onto the Shadowfiend, because he was just standing there hitting the tower. They don't have any Force Staffs, they don't need them. They literally just kill him instantly. Obviously, GAIMIN Gladiator, they have 1 save, which is Global Sounds, but doesn't really work for situations like that. Like, you're gonna jump the SF, they pop Global, I think he still dies. And on the second life, they have literally no chance of saving him. He's getting perma-bashed by the Slardar when he comes back up, so that kill was instant. You're gonna see now they drop the Monkey King ult, and I think Amar turns back on him as well. Like, instant bash again. He didn't play.
The fact that he had the presence of mind to go outside the Wukongs to hit a couple random enemies to get the bashes up again, to be able to get the literal perma-bash is insane.
Yep.
Man.
Clean.
So hard to play against that. That's Tree Volley coming in. Boom. Oh, okay. Some damage gets the Avatos back into the pit, and they're going to get some form of revenge onto Amar. But they're going to need a lot more of that to get back in this game.
Well, they could at least claim a mid-tier 2. I don't think Amar is interested in going back for that unless OG do get a very clean setup once again, but maybe they're going to just try to defend it the aggressive way. They're pushing top, and they
initiated on. The sheep stick is there, and he is deleted.
They can actually force them back here. They can defend their tier 2 tower mid by pushing top. The OG have, or GAIMIN Gladiators have to come back here. They're sending back the Underlord for now.
Forge Spirits won't be able to finish it off, although boom, he's going to get ensnared, and you can see GAIMIN have already TP'd a couple heroes, so they don't have that many in numbers. Boundless Strike connects as well. Dyrachyo has to Requiem to try to zone away the rest of OG, but there's the Sheep Stick and the Meteor with the Mortimer's Kiss. There's so much fire destroying the Stone Man, as BZM able to get his BKB off, but you can see the song being used, and now they're just going to focus down the BKB targets for the time being. So 2 dead in favor of OG. With the Wukong's command, Boundless Strike onto 2, and GAIMIN are getting destroyed.
Oh, so clean. What an insane fight from OG. Everything landing perfectly.
Man,
great spellcasting synergy. The way they set up that kill on Tiny and take advantage of him not having BKB is just so clean, right? And Snare into the Scatter Blast damage so he can blink, into the follow-up from the Monkey King. Just so clean.
What's the worst that could happen?
And everything from Invoker. That's a good line for that moment.
Some positivity here as OG now going to the high ground. And obviously, we can see there are a couple buybacks, but they're not going to be that impactful right now. As the fortification is popped, and this is looking like minimum 2 lanes, if not more. And again, when Shadow Fiend's back, he's going to have half the souls, so won't be as powerful as he could be. Scotty now picked up by Yuragi. That's 2 lanes. And now trying to go for the Megas. Boom. He's going to get initiated on mid-tree volley, and look how fast he dies again. Scatter Blast finishes him off. He does have buyback this time, though. But at this point, it's going to be Mega Creeps. As GAIMIN, they're just getting zoned out by BZM, who has a delicious meatball surprise with that refresher. And the global silence is there.
Dyrachyo can't play. Like, he's literally just
He just dies on the outskirts as the rest of GAIMIN are stuck in their freaking fountain right now. Good lord. OG, I think it's just a range racks on the top to be able to get those Mega Creeps as Yuragi pops the BKB. Boom, with a pretty good tree volley, but it's not enough damage at this stage of the game. As they're going to be able to finish off, and that's a dieback for Mr. Boom himself. And it looks like game 1 as GG's come out, go to OG in extremely convincing fashion. And I know we came in thinking OG would be the favorites coming in, and they're showing why here. They're able to play greedy with double Midas, and it worked out.
It did. GAIMIN Gladiators went for one of their, tried and tested and true strategies, but they didn't get the lead that they needed. They're very used to, when playing these kind of tactics, to get that early advantage and snowball with it. And OG managed to weather the storm in their lanes, keep it close, get the Midases, get the farm up, and honestly, just a standout performance for me in this game by BZM on the Invoker. Not really too surprising, I guess you could say, from an XOR Invoker with a good laning stage, but just really clean across the board. They pulled out this first phase Naga Siren support, made it work, kind of caught, it felt like it caught GAIMIN Gladiators off guard in the drafting stage that this Naga was just transitioned to position 4, and yeah, just very clean stuff from OG, inspiring.
Do you think that GAIMIN, like looking back on this, I mean, this is just my thoughts, and it means nothing at this point, but
I know.
When the 2 Midases come out, do you think that's the point they just need to get like ultra aggressive? Is that something they could have changed?
I mean, it's easier said than done, right? Because
for sure.
The thing is, these Midases, it's not like OG are playing a lineup here where they're unable to fight because they have Midases, right? I think the hero that was suffering the most was the Slardar, but Monkey King had a great start, Invoker had a great start, and they were just setting up moves left, right, and center with Misha on the Snapfire and Taiga on the Naga, so they had time, and they got the job done.
So game 1 goes to OG, and of course it is a best of 3, and this is an elimination series, of course, because we are in the lower bracket. Let's see what the panel has to say about the physical damage lineup of OG.
Thank you very much indeed, Sunsfan and Synderen. We're going to prepare for that second game of the series and break down the first one. And it was a lot about this matchup. We got the carry matchup. I need to talk about mostly the guy at the very end over there, because Shadow Fiend, I think maybe we saw a little bit of panic pressure coming out from GAIMIN Gladiators Lacoste, where at some point they got the ages, they're like, oh my god, we need to make this work. And then everything fell apart even more than it
I want to go back to
even further.
Laning stage.
Okay.
Taiga did manage to kill Career twice from the Shadowfin, which did set him back. This is supposed to be the lane that they completely dominate, playing the Shadowfin into melee matchup. But yeah, as you said, when they were sieging the high ground with the Shadowfin, they wanted to make use of it. They're like, we got to do something with it. TI nerves at the stage, you know it's going to happen, but also this Monkey King. Like, he had an extremely good laning stage coming up with Snapfire, Cookie to close the gap and being able to dominate the lane, also TPing to the top lane and managing to kill the Shadow Fiend. This was one of the moves that kind of sets the tempo for the game, where you kill Shadow Fiend and also you take the tower.
But not just that, also Monkey King's really strong lane with the Snapfire set up for so many Sunstrikes coming out of Invoker, which gave BZM that extra boost that he needed in the early game to transition into that mid game, because they did get the Midases, the gameplay did slow down in OG, and Gladiators did capitalize on that, right? They got 2 Roches, they took some really good fights, they took over OG's triangle, but you had BZM on this Invoker just playing the map impeccably well, right?
He just never would. We're not going to let Jenkins talk have a good 100 point. Very good.
Yeah, it was just so impressive. That was a masterclass of macro gameplay. He was just pushing out the lanes to the very end. And the most important thing that I want to highlight that BZM did on this Invoker is that the target that he bullied the most was the Underlord of Ace. He was constantly EMPing this hero who wanted to come play the map, right? He wanted to push out lanes, but he would walk to a lane, get completely drained of mana, because that was literally all BZM wanted to do was EMP him, and then he'd just have to walk base. He couldn't do anything.
Different matchup, because Tiny needs to control the runes. He needs to move. He needs to be not under ward to be able to gank, while Invoker does have a Sunstrike. If Tiny leaves the lane, that means with the Forge Spirits, he's going to be able to push the tower. At 11 minutes in, they did manage to kill both off lane and the mid tower, which did open up the map quite a lot for OG.
Yeah, I mean, BZM, like you guys said, was an absolute monster that game. I feel like he was the real carry. But I also feel like, going back to the original matchup, GAIMIN Gladiators, the carry SF, it seems like, to a degree, it's been figured out by some teams at this tournament. We've seen Bloodseeker go for Basher and just sit there and man up against the SF, and SF can't outtrade that. Slardar did the exact same thing. Monkey King did the same thing, especially with the minus armor and the alacrity. And Monkey King eventually gets a Basher, but it seems like these heroes that can just BKB, ignore everything else, and just straight run at the SF is the way to counter it. And it makes me think, like, maybe this is something that it's one of these heroes that's supposed to fall off after the first few days of the main stage, because that's happened every single year with some heroes.
Yeah, it happens indeed. I also wanted to touch upon something that you guys saw during the draft that they weren't too happy with the silencer position 4. Who wants to take that one?
Yeah.
Because it obviously didn't work, but when we saw the game, it did have quite a big impact still with the globals.
He did, managing to stop the Snapfire ulti multiple times. Also, if they pop the BKBs, we've seen OGs disengaging multiple times. But this is the type of a draft from GAIMIN Gladiators where you have Silencer and Enchantress. You need to be heavily focused on the laning stage, get that advantage early on, 3, 4, maybe even 5k to be able to get the ball going. But didn't happen. Like, at one point, you could feel that they actually have like 2 position 5 heroes. Enchantress kind of taking over because she scales better than the Silencer, trying to itemize for dealing more damage because it felt like they don't have it. Underlord very limited because, as Effie said, like, he was getting heavily focused by this Invoker. So kind of difficult. Like, it can work, but in the game when it's even, you can feel that, you know, you need that 4.
But it's not even that, right? That is an excellent point, but I just feel like Gladiators draft, the heroes were so slow, right? That once the map started to get like picked apart by OG, they parked their Naga near the jungle where Gladiators was playing because it was a way for Naga to kind of scout people out with her illusions, but also cancel TPs of the song or potentially set up good situations for OG. So I thought that was like a neat little thing that they did with her. But like Lacoste mentioned, this Silencer, this Enchantress, this Tiny, they're just all very slow. The only hero who had a means to potentially open up the map and counterplay the movements was the Underlord, and like we mentioned, he wasn't able to do that. So while the Silencer did contribute a little bit, like by way of giving Roche, because he had the global to take 2 Roches, he cancelled Mortimer's Kisses. He did some good stuff during the game, but just this slow-moving hero, his weaknesses just unraveled throughout the game.
Yeah, it really does. So time to go back to the drawing board for GAIMIN Gladiators. We'll see what they got coming towards OG in game number 2. And while they're discussing that, we are going to check in with Casey and Slacks and see what they're up to.
Woohoo! All right, so we came out to find some of the biggest fans from both teams. That's who we came out here to find. OG fans in the house? OG!
Yeah,
Except Except. Who is your favorite player?
Seb. I know he's back there.
I come out of the crowd, I'm like, OG fans. They're like, me. Everybody's like, Seb, go Seb. I'm like, you know he's not playing this. You know that's changed, right?
Yeah, he's back there. I know he's there.
What do you want to say to him if he can hear you right now?
I hope we can get a picture with him and interview.
Yeah, Seb, stop what you're doing right now. Come on out here. We need a picture. What about you? Who's your favorite player?
ATF.
Ooh.
Amar.
Yes. Gather in.
ATF. Amar.
ATF. BZM.
No tail.
No. Again, with us in spirit, but yes, I like it. Now, you guys promised you would do an OG dance with me. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, come on, let's go. All right. I'll bet you sluts can't beat this.
It's not just OG. Cut the camera. There's other teams out there. In fact, the GAIMIN Gladiators. We found the literal GAIMIN Gladiator celebrating. Is anyone here a GG fan? All right. These people need to get motivated. The boys need to hear you in the back. Please give us a rousing speech, Mr. Gladiator. I give you the mic.
Give us a Gladiator fans, are you not entertained? We never give up. We're gladiators. We're strong physically. We're strong mentally. We're never out. GG. Next game. Let's go.
Hell yeah! Let's go! I want the game 3. I know the Gladiators do. I know the OG fans do. Casey, Fox! Game 3! Game 3! Oh, that is a great impression. Thank you very much, and we'll put it back to you guys. Whose hat is this?
Don't worry about it. You steal drinks and hats.
I got the
What
lights.
you do here?
That's
Great.
not good.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Slacks and Casey. You got quite some fans in the arena, indeed. Are you doing well, Jenkins?
What do you got
well?
there, Jenkins? Some sauce OGs, huh? I don't get it.
Sausage.
Yeah, speaking about OG, I feel like the last game, the fact that they built 2 Midases, they knew that they could basically hold out the early to mid game, and then eventually the timer was on GAIMIN Gladiators.
It really was?
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, that's it. That's
Okay, well, with that said, let's focus our attention on what the teams are actually discussing right now, because we've only had 2-0s, and these teams, they're very well aware of it, and as we heard earlier today, momentum and confidence plays a big part in the current meta because of the extra duration of the games. Jenkins had a perfect explanation earlier today, but that means that there's extra pressure coming into the teams during these 10 minutes. Immortal Faith, the coach of GAIMIN Gladiators, got his work cut out for him, of course. Effie, what would your speech be?
My speech?
Yes.
I would say, don't give up, guys. Woo.
I'm not sure if that would do the trick.
I'm motivated.
I would take this Gladiator guy from the audience and put him
That
in.
guy.
It's like, do the speech for me.
That's true. They should find that guy
Do
and
the
just put
speech.
him in the booth.
Do the speech.
Yeah. No, but I think that Gladiators really are onto something, because that game didn't look bad. Like I said, the map just kind of got out of control for them, and their heroes were not equipped to play the same macro game that OG's heroes were. But those first 25 minutes, they really had the right idea, because as we see with OG, they're still not playing the Wraith Pact offlaners, and when a team like Gladiators does group up for the 5-man, they can exploit their Wraith Pact hero, their 5-man heroes, versus OG's really greedy cores still.
Indeed they can, and we are having the teams coming back on the stage. So all those discussions have already taken place. There's only one focus now, and that focus is on the upcoming game. That focus is on the draft. And we could very, very much see that these teams are very used to each other, because when the Naga was first picked up by OG, GAIMIN Gladiators knew that this was going to be a support Naga. They ended up banning out some carries at the end, because they knew that Naga was not going to be in the hands of Yuragi there at the end. It's going to be interesting to find out what else they got up their sleeves. What else do they have up their sleeve, you think, Lacoste?
I think GAIMIN Gladiators, they need to shift things up a little bit. Like their hero pool, as we said before, was one of the lowest ones, and these players, they can play different heroes. Also, like Boom did great. He did extremely well. We saw a game against Fnatic when he popped off completely on the Storm Spirit during the DPC. His Ember Spirit, his Storm Spirit were one of the best tools, something that did lift this team up quite a bit. So maybe go that route, like give him constant pressure on the map. And maybe I also want to see Ace on something different. Like Jenkins did say that, Tidehunter, one of his best heroes, definitely wasn't picked so far in the international. But yeah, something that can run at people, something that, does stuff compared to the Underlord, who's very sluggish as a hero.
He's been actually playing a lot of
Brewmaster.
Not run at you heroes. Yeah, I mean, I guess Brew kind of is, but he's pretty dependent on the ult. Brood kind of takes over an area.
Yeah, Brewmaster.
Underlord, yeah, that's the new hero they're coming out with. Underlord is like, yeah, you take an area, but Enigma, same thing. Like, yeah, it would be cool to see him on his Beast or
even Visage, yeah, Night Stalker, some of his signature heroes as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Ace's hero pool is an issue, right? Because this is how the meta is going right now for most of the teams, with the exception of OG, of course. They're always doing their own thing.
Yeah, they are the exception.
Yeah, because he's going for these Wraith-packed heroes. We see it all the time. We've seen it worked for every other team, and it seems to be okay. I don't think the Underlord was that much of a problem. I kind of just think that, like Lacoste mentioned, Boom used to just play these explosive Spirit-type heroes that had high mobility and were always setting up for kills. Tiny can be played the same, but it's a little bit slower. It needs that Blink Dagger. It needs a little bit of time, and often it will just need that BKB. So I would like to see Gladiators just go back to basics, go back to their comfort, right? They innovated so many things that we saw for so long. The Io and the Storm, the Ember versus Huskar, like willingly picking Ember into Huskar. That's how much confidence they had in their mid players. So let's see that again.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team, we got some stats throughout the break that Tofu is the top 5 assists of all time for TI, right? Going into the game. And
yeah, that's the finish.
And Dyrachyo also has average GP, is the highest average GPM in this TI.
It is time to get into it. It is time for game number 2.
GAIMIN Gladiators versus OG. Game 2.
And if we want Tofu to once again get high assist numbers, he needs to play something else.
Yes.
Other than Silencer.
I think that was a part of the problem, to go back to Jenkins' point about him being very active in terms of the assists.
You get assists for pressing global. Now they changed that. If you silence somebody and they die, you get the assist for it.
Do you actually?
Yes, you do. Yeah, it counts. It counts on the ticker as an assist.
Okay, so that for silencer with the refresher this game.
Yeah, just maximize your assist stats.
It counts because it's a debuff, and all debuffs count as assists.
It used to not, though. Now if you're Spear Breaker charging somebody and they die, you get an assist. And you actually get gold for it now.
That's always been that way.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, because if something didn't take damage, you would not get the assist.
That's not true. I used to play Spear Breaker 2 years ago and just get so many assists charging heroes that aren't.
Well, yeah, but we're old. I mean, 2 years ago, it might have actually been when they patched it. I'm talking about like 4 or 5 years ago.
Just so you guys know, you know how you try to like make your stats better than they actually were in Dota games? I used to do that with Spirit Breaker all the time. When I knew the hero was dead, I would just charge it anyways. Like, give me that assist to make me look good.
I'm too old for that meta. I never thought about it that way because it never counted when I did it.
It didn't count, no.
All right, we're in the draft here. We got ourselves GAIMIN Gladiators on the Radiant side this time around, so they swapped around. First pick is going the way of OG, and we have Shadow Fiend, even though it lost, still removed from the pool. Compared to previous game, we saw previous game, OG, they banned out both the Marcy and the Primal Beast. Now both are still in the pool. On the side of GAIMIN Gladiators, they stuck with the same thing. They still ban out the Razor and the Timber, and the Undying next to the Shadow Fiend is the other one removed, and it is going to be Pango as the first pick.
So this Pango is just a testament to how this hero, since his release, has just been so useful in what he can do in the game. But right now, most popular as a mid laner, he's very good as an anti-zoo hero, right? He's anti-summon, he roams around very well, can match the pace of a lot of heroes, and he's very heavy on skirmishes.
He's also anti-carry hero with his disarms. That's something that a lot of carries don't like to play into. And, this is going to be a silence. A good way to counter Pangolier when he tries to use the roll to be able to lock him down, or even focus him down with the heavy physical attack, while the rest of the team does have global on them.
Yeah, but also Enigma still in the pool. So if OG had decided to pivot and just pick that Enigma in the second phase, the Silencer has already been picked up by Gladiators. We also saw what Silencer can do around the Roche pit, right? He just secures these early Roche fights incredibly well. So outside of simply just countering a hero, he does a lot for early objectives.
I'm fairly certain that one of the higher win rate heroes in the game versus Primal Beast is Viper. You'd think like there's some break mechanic at play there, but I don't think it has anything to do with the break. I think it's just that you can Viper ult the Primal and screw with his trample through the BKB once he eventually picks that up. So Viper can always, kill him when he charges in, and also Primal Beast, like, he gets in your face and you just get 5 stacks of poison on him and kill him through his ridiculous armor and high HP pool because he's the highest strength gain hero in the game. So I do like this Viper pick.
Yeah, they might shift the priority of this Primal Beast because both Boom and Ace were playing it so far in this TI, so maybe start thinking about different, because I mean even Viper is a flexible pick. Like you can go to pretty much every single role with this hero, and Yuragi, his hero pool is the highest at the international, so but they might still run Viper. He's played so far, I believe, 18 different heroes.
Crazy. All right, we got a Lich ban out coming from GAIMIN Gladiators, and now we see also the Marcy removed.
Yeah, Lich is a hero that we have seen become a lot more popular simply as a response to the Marcy because people have caught on to how strong Frost armor can be, especially if you're not playing versus any Dispels or Purges. And a lot of heroes like Primal Beast love to combo this hero. We've also seen it comboed with Lesh, and just that early boost of being able to go in the enemy team, just go in the center like a bulldozer and live out for as long as possible is really annoying to play into, even if you're not directly countering anything.
And just removing a couple of the strong heroes for OG here with the Broodmother as well. Templar Assassin removed inside of GAIMIN Gladiators, also potentially avoiding some extra minus armor strap from the carry side of things. Now that there's no Slardar at play.
It's insane that Enigma is just
ignored,
even by the teams that get the Silencer.
And Marcy just made it all the way to the second phase.
Okay, there it is. Thank goodness. There it is.
But I just feel as though the heroes that are incredibly popular during groups always fall off during main stage somehow. And
at least a few of them, yeah.
They can figure it out.
But the thing is, we were making these discussions, or we were making these points about how main stage meta shifts towards team fight and comfort, but I feel like Enigma is a hero that's comfort for almost everybody because he's been in meta for what, 6 months now?
It's been so long.
You need to know how to play Enigma, otherwise you're gonna be very crippled when it comes down to variety of the heroes that you can play. And Crystal Maiden, like I don't mind seeing Crystal Maiden Silencer as a duo because I think it's a bit different. Crystal Maiden does scale quite a lot in the mid and late game, but this is a good counter. Having Clockwork against both of these supports and also blocking the Primal Beast. Like, if we go way back, I don't know, 5-6 years ago when like Ancient Apparition, Shaker were extremely popular as heroes, Clockwork was always a counter, being able to scout them in the back lines and also initiation on them, forcing them to get a Force Staff. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do, but you still need to get the gold from somewhere, and after the recent patch, the gold is you get less gold on these supports, so that means that these Force Staffs are gonna come into the game a little later.
Yeah, and I have to, that's actually a really great point. Supports got super nerfed versus Clock when they don't even get gold anymore. And yeah, the flag bearer creep kind of equalizes that and gives it to the carry, but often supports aren't even on the lane.
They're not even there. Yeah, they're running like bounties and doing like other support
exactly.
things.
Honestly, maybe you'll get 1 to 2 flag bearer creeps in the first 10 minutes, but you have so many other things to do that you can't play the greedy route and just try to stick around for every second wave. It doesn't work that way. So supports really have lost a lot of gold this time around, which interestingly enough, I thought maybe Bounty Hunter would become more popular simply because of that, but yeah, that hero still sucks.
He was very popular in pubs just before TI. Like I was thinking, like, oh man, all the pros are playing this. It's
That's because people have fun stealing gold from people. That's what I meant.
It is pretty fun to go goblin mode.
But as far as drafts go, I think OG's draft is pretty scary right now. This last Lifestealer pick from Gladiators does a lot for them because he counters a lot. He can fight through the Rolling Thunder, he can fight the Viper, he can fight the Clockwork and the Jakiro. So this is a great hero, but taking that away, they just have so much to counter the Primal Beast. They've got this Clockwork, they've got the slow from Jakiro, they've got the combination of Macropyre plus Power Cogs, they've got the Viper Strike on the Primal Beast. And all of these things that I mentioned, who else hates them? Two slow-moving support heroes.
I think Ursa's still in the pool for OG. They might be a little limited on tower damage, but just looking at the carry-to-carry matchup, like it's great against the Primal Beast who wants to get in multiple times in and out, and just the matchup against the Lifestealer is really good for Ursa.
And you'll two-shot these supports, dude. There's no way a Crystal Maiden can deal with an Ursa.
It's also just not bad for Monkey King again if that's the route they want to go. The Monkey King was an excellent pick. Last game, the BKB timing was nice, and it's really good here too. Especially when you have a Pangolier who can do so much for you. The Monkey King was super capitalized on because of the Invoker Sunstrikes and him having a stun, being able to set that up. It won't necessarily be the same effectiveness in the first 15 minutes of the game, but as the game progresses, also still great pick here.
Even Terrorblade is a good solution because these heroes can get on top of you, but their damage is extremely limited when he has a BKB.
I like the idea of a melee carry more, simply just to pair up the Clock with the Viper and the Jakiro with the melee carry.
Faceless Void.
It's a great Void game. I was actually looking at Dota Buff, and Void has one of the top win rates versus Primal Beast. It's great against these like spellcasting supports who are very spammy, and you can time dilate them for a lot of damage and chase them down. It's great against Lifestealer. I think if you go late game Lifestealer versus Void and you don't have some sort of other like semi carry, it's basically a loss. Like it's very difficult for Lifestealer in this matchup.
But it just kind of counters what Lifestealer wants to do with his Rage versus the rest of OG's heroes. Worst comes to worst, you just Chrono that guy and then you try to kill the rest of his team, right? And then by the time his Rage is over, your team can handle it. So I like it a lot. But I remember when Primal Beast was the scourge of pub Dota when he was first released, it kind of felt like the only way to beat that hero is to pick Void on the safe lane, just because he jumps away from him, right? He tramples you, you get away. He had no inherent means to kill you after he already used his charge. So even though Primal Beast has a lot of bad lane matchups now because he got nerfed, Void is still tried and tested, works really well against the hero on lane, in the game, and with the BKB timing.
Is it time to shift this Primal Beast to the off lane and get something?
That's what I was thinking. A semi carry like Storm would be amazing.
Yeah, because they have they do have lockdown with the Pangolier ulti, Ice Path, like Chrono, but I think you need to get hero to boom. Yeah, I'm thinking about Storm, but especially because there is Crystal Maiden in the team, just to be able to enable him even more.
It's a hero that can jump the Void and kill the Void as well, like catch him out when he's on a lane.
Dude, this is such a nice clock game, actually. I'm looking at it. You also have the Cogs into Rolling Thunder combo, and just the combo in his lane is nice, and with both, I mean, he just enables everybody on this team. Also, the Rocket Flare vision to set up the Chronospheres. He actually does everything for every single hero on his team. This is one of the best clock picks I've seen.
Well, we do see the Storm in the end coming out, and that means we're going to have a Primal Beast played by Ace. That will be his first Primal Beast play of the International. But does this mean, this Storm pick, does this mean that you guys are a little bit more on board on the potential of a Game 3?
Because I've been thinking about like what options do they have, and this seems like a good option, something that doesn't rely on any cooldown. You can play very aggressive. We did say that they need
carries
this.
The game as well.
Yes, exactly, and feels much better. I would say I'm still a little worried for their damage output once Faceless Void gets to his like 3-4 item timings.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. I was loving hearing you guys' thoughts, but I think people also are gonna love hearing the thoughts of Seb, who's standing by with Slacks.
5 seconds remaining.
Absolutely, my friends. I'm here with the choo-choo train Chubak. How you doing? Fantastic. So, Primal Beast, pretty good hero. You only picked 5 counters against him. Do you think that you have enough to take that beast down?
Should be fine.
All right, should be fine, should be fine. Now, how much did you guys prepare for this match against GAIMIN Gladiators? I know that you guys are the favorites always to win TI, so they're very prepared for you. Did you do a lot of research against them?
I mean, it's like 4 or 5 hours straight preparation.
So, okay, he's not lying! Shut up in the crowd. All right, thank you very much. All right. Are you going to win this game? Give it to me straight, Choo-Choo Train.
I guess.
I guess! All right! Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me pass it over to the most successful podcasters in all of Dota 2. They paid me $100 to say that. Sunsfin and Tendrin.
Thank you very much, Sir Action Slacks. Another very, very good interview. Hopefully an Emmy Award-winning interview, just that specific one. Will go down in history.
I love the confidence. When you can just tell the coach, like, I guess. You just know it's in the bag, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm so inspired. You know, I think coaches saying, I guess, have a higher win rate than coaches saying we are definitely winning this game, at least at this event so far.
I would love to see the statistics on that.
Yeah.
One-word answers, if that equates to more wins, or if they're eloquent, perhaps they lose more.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense, but
kind of like me. I talk a lot, but not so much play, you know? So it makes sense. It really does make sense.
Well, you know what else makes sense? That this is game 2, because game 1 is over. Not sure if you're aware of that, Sundarin, but
that's true.
Game 2 of this lower bracket matchup between GAIMIN Gladiators and OG. OG with a 1-0 advantage so far. And they're looking to close this series out while GAIMIN trying to hold on to their TI hopes and try and force a game number 3. We're finally going to see some primal beast action, but the panel kind of talked about a lot of bad matchups from my boy. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, so Clockwork is already a little bit of a tricky one to deal with because you're a mobility-based hero, right? As Primal Beast, you really need to move around and navigate the fight, and you have an ability that gives you a lot of armor, but in the way, like Clockwork is 90% magic damage, he has a lot of ways of interrupting your movement with cogs, with hookshot, battery assault is annoying, and you have Pango ult that's going to be annoying for you. You have Ice Path that you need to navigate around, Viper Strike, and then the final last pick that OG get, which kind of reminds me a little bit of what they did in game number 1. They picked this Faceless Void, so if the Primal is going off lane, he's going to be playing against Void, which is one of Primal's worst lane matchups. You can just time walk away from the trample. And if he's going mid, he's going against Pango, who can just swashbuckle away from the trample. So they kind of cover their bases here where they see GAIMIN Gladiators going for a top-tier pick, and they just make sure there's nowhere he's going to be truly happy to play. So it's a very disruptive way of thinking about drafting that not only do their heroes make a lot of sense together, but there's one singular hero in the enemy team that you're really just trying to make miserable, and that's going to be Ace. So curious to see how he performs in this game. I think it's a very, very difficult Primal game.
Yeah. What about the other heroes, though? We have Lifestealer with the Infest Bomb potential into the Storm Spirit, which was the last pick from GAIMIN.
The Storm pick was very good, for sure.
So see if they can execute properly in the mid-game. Try to get some pickoffs here onto OG. How many Midases can we see in this game from OG?
I don't think BZM usually buys Midas on Pango, so I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say 0.
0?
Is
the
Void
Viper Midas.
Maybe Uragi will buy one, wouldn't he?
Yeah, maybe Faceless Void buys it from time to time, right? So, and Amar buys one every game, so I think it could be 2 still.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It definitely could be. And on the side of GAIMIN Gladiators, yeah, Lifestealer, probably the only one who would ever buy it, really. If you buy Primal Beast Midas, you're playing the hero wrong. I'll go out and say that right now.
Maybe he needs it real bad this game because of the bad matchups.
I think that's not a good look.
I mean, what kind of itemization can you go for Primal Beast to try to mitigate, like, the counters that you're going up against?
I mean, you obviously have to get BKB, right?
That's every game.
Yeah, no, but you have to get it even more this game. You have to get 2 BKBs this game.
Oh, so a refresher. Okay.
But you don't have mana for that, so you need some sort of item to give you mana. So you're going to hope that you find...
All right, give me the full list of items that will allow him to have double BKB.
Is he getting the robe or not?
Let's just say everything goes his way.
Okay, BKB phase boots, robe, refresher, and then is wand enough? I don't actually know. It's probably close.
I don't know. His mana pool is atrocious. As Taiga taking pretty heavy damage in the bot lane here. Duraccio pops the rage, take off those poison attacks.
I mean, he could also go BKB refresher and 6 mangoes.
Okay, sure, that sounds a little less than ideal.
He has 3 of them already. He's halfway there.
So he just needs to not use them.
He almost has his first major item, 6 mangoes.
Maybe if he could get the mango tree, then it would be possible.
Oh.
Right, then you don't have to buy it.
Missed that so much, Misha.
Onslaught with the trample, lots of damage. I mean, you talked about how Yuragi can deal with this, but what about Jakiro?
Yeah, Jakiro is not particularly good against Primal in lane, so Misha definitely has to be careful about positioning. One of the upsides to Jakiro over certain other supports is it has pretty high base HP, so getting the full kill is difficult, but you put a lot of pressure and you do economic damage. Jakiro's probably going to have to buy salves here if it keeps getting pressured. But yeah, it could be better, it could be worse. There are certain other supports that absolutely get bodied by Primal, and Jakiro is not really in that category, but it's also not the greatest.
We are many minutes away from this happening, so I don't know why I'm bringing it up now.
Tier 5 neutral items?
No, actually, for once you're incorrect.
I can't believe it.
Well, I'm bringing this up because I know you're such a big fan of Clockwork, but
I am.
seeing the Aghanim Scepter at this tournament, it hasn't been picked up as much because it's a lot of it is support and you have to get the gold, but when it's picked up, it feels impossible to play against a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think the biggest upside to it is just the vision, right? If you're playing support Clock and you just spam out the rockets in key moments, you get a lot of information, which is very powerful. I do think in this game, Taiga is more likely to go Force Staff, though. I just think it's too good to not buy. You're playing against Lifestealer, you're playing against Primal Beast. Oh, Taiga, by the way, taking some hefty damage down here. We'll be fine, though.
Yeah, has to be careful with that Ghoul Frenzy, of course, level 1. Very important spell for Lifestealer.
I mean, unless they see incredible value in getting the multiple rockets, I think the best Clockwork build in this game is probably Force Staff Lotus. Get the Lotus against the Global Silence for any teammate of your choosing so you can save them. It's a great way of countering Storm Spirit because he can't really Vortex unless he BKBs. And the Force Staff just amazing, right? Primal, Lifestealer, even Storm. If the hero at least turns around before they get pulled by Vortex, you can reset their position pretty well. I'm going to trade again.
It could be very annoying as Dyrachyo has to pop the old rage and just walk out. I mean, from BZM's perspective on the Pango, when you're going up against the likes of, like you said, the Global Silence, which can be really annoying. What's the Yuragi? Oh, the Trample.
He has time walk again.
Though. But what kind of itemization for BZM? Are you having to go BKB at some point? We used to see Lotus Orbs back in the day, but that hasn't really been as much of a thing for the mid Pango. Or you're relying on your team to get
I kind of like Diffusal here still, right?
Well, you're going to go for that regardless, right? But like,
yeah, after Diffusal, I don't know, is BKB enough?
Accelerate?
Yep.
That's going to be first blood for Amar. And Dyrachyo has to be careful. He's going to pop the rage, though.
This bottom lane got basically twice as strong when Taiga hit level 3. It is such a huge turning point for Clockwork's ability to play offensively. Like, heroes that can usually somewhat trade with you just get absolutely destroyed all of a sudden because you more than double the damage of Battery Assault. Goes from 20 to 45 from that level 1 to 2. One of the biggest spell upgrades in the entire game, in my opinion. All right, good setup.
Mid with the Frostbite, a lot of damage to BZM, but he gets off the swash.
Oh, the miss
from Boom.
Oh, he still got
low ground, but he still finds the kill in the end.
Very close.
That was very close to being extremely unfortunate for Boom.
If Taiga had enough mana for Cogs, he might have actually survived there. They find the Jakiro.
They get trampled down, and Yuragi gets off the time dilation. He's not going to be able to likely find a kill unless he gets a timely bash here on
Any bash? Any bash?
No.
No bash. This reminds me of when I play Faceless Void.
Okay. Give me the deets.
I think sometimes it's tempting to not skill Time Lock because it just doesn't work when you're playing the hero. I understand why other players skill it though, because it's really good on them. So.
Yeah, so it seems.
Yeah.
But BZM in the mid lane, 36-5 versus the 28-6. Despite that death, was ahead of the CS. But we can see on the network, essentially even, all things considered, as he is now level 6, so the Rolling Thunder available. I mean, from the Storm Spirit's perspective,
hearing an onslaught. Total miss there.
Yeah, he does take down a lot of trees, though.
That's true. Is that one of the predictions for this game? No, it is not.
Those are my favorite, yeah. I missed the community challenge to kill trees.
Dyrachyo needs to be careful here. Has the phase boots, which is very, very useful against the Clockwork.
Yeah, Tofu gets up the last ward, but BZM with the Rolling Thunder.
Oh,
nice juking from Tofu.
Fancy
footwork on, though. I don't know if he's going to hit him a second time. No. Tofu definitely has his dancing shoes on as he's able to only get hit once.
I believe this is what some people refer to as NA driver. That's
Okay,
a dead main.
sure. Celery. He's going to get soloed down. Amar actually gets credit for that kill. Now the Viper Strike onto Duracious, attempting to TP out. Oh, he dies in the fountain. Oh, dear. Very unfortunate sequence of events for GAIMIN Gladiators in this bot lane. That feels awful, so he's going to have to make the walk of shame. And, I mean, do you have to go to the jungle? Because obviously Viper Strike, now that that's online, very low cooldown.
It's not only that, Amar's going to be level 7 and you just cracked level 5. This bottom lane is over. The problem is, lifesteal jungle is pretty slow, and you can at least still somewhat sustain yourself down here. And I think if you leave Maiden down here, she's just going to get dove non-stop, right? Yeah. So you probably kind of have to just go there and pick up the pieces and get what you can. But yeah, Amar with a complete dumpstring in this lane now, 1,400 net worth ahead of Duracio 8 minutes in. Effectively 300 more GPM if you think about it that way. That is, that's scary if you're GAIMIN Gladiators. This bottom lane, definitely they could not afford it to go this poorly from the get-go.
I can see that it started as a smoke and now an Invis rune topped for Boom, who's now in the OG triangle, but Taiga.
Getting the Viper here would be a really, really good play to try to bring back Duracio. I think this is the right idea with this Invis rune, and it looks like Amar has no idea.
There's the initiation. He has to stand his ground with the Nether Toxin and the right clicks. It's actually
trade him
he's
away,
just gonna
though.
rot away inside. So it's a 1-for-1, and now Celery with the rotation of BZM will be taken out. So it looked like it was going to be a clean pickoff for GAIMIN Gladiators, not to be, and it might be even more as Boom has to expend a lot of mana, but Taiga, not quite level 6 yet.
Maybe not, actually.
He's catching up. Shield crash, and he's going to get locked down into Oblivion, so another kill for OG.
And that is another big part of why Amar is so strong on this hero, is that even when the enemy team is going for his Viper to try to solve the lane after it's been lost, if his teammates are fast at rotating, Viper is a pretty hard kill. You can see Amar going for the traditional item build of...
Oh, Chronosphere, and Amar is on the other side as well.
That's a goner.
And uses the Viper Strike just to ensure another kill on a core hero for GAIMIN.
What do you think about Amar's item build? I don't think I've ever seen this.
What do we got here today? Dragon Lance?
Wraithband, Null Talisman.
Oh, I didn't.
And 2 branches,
that.
No stick.
Okay.
He's getting the mana regen from the Null, and then he's not buying stick. This is one of those do not try it at home moments. Don't do this at home.
I'm sure people will.
You or do it at home. Maybe it's easy to pull off and look good on.
Yeah, that is odd, but Amar always has his reasons for...
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he has bought this multiple times before and I just haven't noticed, but it just stood out to me. This is an item combination you very rarely see, Wraith plus Null.
Uh-oh.
Good steal there from Boom, though. He got some of it.
Indeed. He's going to take an ice pack.
Oh, no.
Will take down eventually, though, to Misha. And now Celery looks to be next, potentially. Not even needing the rolling thunder.
God.
Man, GAIMIN they're getting punished every single angle of the map right now.
That is a kill I would have never expected there. The fact that OG finds that with that combination of Jakiro and Pango was really, really good. And it was on the edge, too. I think he died from the last tick of Dual Breath. It was the very last second, so also close call.
Uragi, the global silence, the Infest out, and they do claim themselves the Faceless Void. And it's hard not to look at the scoreline because it's a 3K lead for OG, but Taiga, he's going to be the next to fall, it looks like.
Okay.
So GAIMIN able to get some important kills here to try to get back in this game.
Well, they've also taken half the mid tower, so not too bad. Great rotation there, good first global. Usually what Faceless Void does so well against Primal, which is also what happened in lane, right, is that you go on him and he just time walks away, but when you do have that global silence and you time it well, you start off the onslaught where Void is like, oh, they're going on me, and then you global him and he can't solve it. Obviously Void will be itemizing against this eventually, but not yet.
And also fits.
I blocked him.
His dad don't see him.
Yeah, kill.
All right, some laughing, some gibberish a little bit here and there, but worked out.
I like Amar's advanced call of kill.
Kill.
Good strategy there. I do believe that is a winning strategy most of the time.
Yeah, Tofu, he's dead.
Kill.
That's definitely a throwback to Eternal Envy days, right? Just repeat the same word.
He would still be saying kill now.
It's just like an endless loop. Recursive loop if you're a programmer.
Why has anyone ever made an Eternal Envy remix? It's like
I'm sure it
have that as like it'd be a pretty, I was going to say a pretty good beat, but maybe not. But it would be a beat.
I've actually seen one for sure.
You have?
Yeah, you can just Google it later.
Yeah.
But OG with
I will definitely do that.
Ace and company in the driver's seat right now. I mean, what does GAIMIN need to do? The Infest Bomb was great, but obviously the Global Silence was needed for that kill.
Yeah.
Very long cooldown.
They have Global again in 10. I think you make another move like that.
Okay. So just do everything off Global cooldown.
Not everything, but you need to use Global. So whenever you have it, you should make a move, and when you don't have it, you maybe need to be a little bit more creative with the plays that you make, but when Global is up, there's just no excuse for not finding a big pick, and it's going to happen right now.
They're going to spot him. He swashbuckles to the creeps, which actually gives him a little bit of extra space. But there, he's going to get silenced and eventually brought down.
It cost Boom.
Yes, it did, but he dodges the hook shot. It's going to be spotted, but I don't think they can close the gap in time. The ice path just barely not in time.
And that is why Taiga's nickname is What Can You Do? Sometimes you just miss.
And Dyrachyo focusing on the tier 1 tower will have to rage away as the rest of OGF come in. They've brought this back for sure. That
was a very fortunate swash, to be honest. Like,
yes.
That play got so much harder than it had any business doing because the perfect timing of the swashbuckle as Storm was jumping, and he had no way of knowing that. So just pretty fortunate there. But also, again, Boom at least getting away from that is really great news for him. He's closing in on the Witchblade. Maybe he can solo Void with that plus Global? I think, because Void treads Midas, right? Like, Yuragi is very far away from any defensive item that's going to solve the Global. He's probably going to go Manta after the Maelstrom, I would imagine, or BKB, one or the other. But until that point, I think Storm has his number. And they could even kill him with an Infest Bomb, I think, without Global, as long as they have that Witchblade. Should be enough. Taiga is going to find Celery.
Indeed, inside the cogs. Ace is here to watch for the time being, but Dyrachyo pops the rage, and now the focus is on Taiga. Gets off the hook shot, and look at that range from Amar. They end up getting the support kill in the end as BZM gets off. Oh, doesn't want to go for the Rolling Thunder quite, but the Electric Vortex comes in. But you have to be careful to that Storm Spirit. The Infest into Ace with the trample. Not enough to finish off Taiga in the end as the Uproar procs. The cogs being used as a wall to be able to maneuver with this Rolling Thunder. That is going to be the death of Ace, and now the Chronosphere on his teammates, but the more important is on the Lifestealer, and Dyrachyo will fall as a result. Not the prettiest of plays, but OG still get it done.
I don't really know if OG could have done much more there. What I'm wondering is if there was a way for Ace to set that up better on the Primal. If they could have been quicker about it and gone on top of the Pango and then get the Pulverize off, but as we talked about pre-game, it is a hard Primal game. You really need to hedge your bets about how you go. We're going to see the replay here. So this is obviously one of the best matchups for Clockwork against the support. Crystal Maiden, super slow, can't really break your cogs very easily once she's in there. You kill her off. Now the Viper Strike going to go into Dyrachyo, forcing the Infest here. And this is where, so when this Storm Jump comes in, if Ace uses his spell combo onto the Pango, I think they actually could potentially kill him there.
I hear the onslaught,
okay,
and that is a lot of damage. Taiga is dead.
That'll do. Closing in on BKB now, Ace. We'll give him some more freedom, but it's not a guaranteed connection. You still, when you're pulverizing, you get countered by the Chrono, and you can get countered by hookshot. So it's not one of those Primal games where it's just like, all right, BKB unlocked, I'm going to start crushing fools left and right. It's not that straightforward.
Is that a voice line? I'm crushing fools?
Is it?
I don't think he speaks any actual words, just roars.
Yeah, maybe one of them means that, though.
That's true. We don't have a translator on hand quite yet. I do believe he speaks the same language as Slacks. Man, we are on the same page.
We are on the same page. We finish each other's
horses. As Yuragi.
No, we don't.
Yeah, just move on. That was a good joke, Ace.
Yeah.
Inside the cogs, which gets broken right away by Taiga. He is dead again. Yep. So they're able to find him pretty consistently, which, like you said, is a pretty important hero to take out before any of these engagements, because it does disrupt a lot of what Ace wants to do.
Oh, that's a long jump.
Zip in BZM. Going to be found, but the swashbuckle out. Ice Path does connect onto Boom, but I'm not sure who wants to fight here. Both sides kind of happy to walk away, it looks like.
I think OG are a little bit timid. They don't have their clockwork and Global Sounds is up, so that is a pretty difficult fight to take. And they also have the read that there's obviously GAIMIN Gladiators vision there because Pango got jumped in Fog. So I really like the call to not force that as Dire. I think the risk reward was just not good enough for you. So they're gonna chill. Wait for Chrono as well, worth keeping in mind. They didn't have that for that either, so probably even less eager to get anything done. But now that it is online and he has Maelstrom, perhaps OG are considering a move.
Radiant are scanning.
Hearing that the Infest Bomb ready to come, but the action's going to start onto Celery, who's just dead right off the bat. The Global Silence comes, though. Rolling Thunder already activated. As Dyrachyo able to claim himself the first kill. They're going to find another on top as Amar falls. The buyback was used on the Celery. As you can see, the BKB already activated from Ace. And Taiga at the root keeps him in place, and Celery's buyback ends up being worth it. So double kill for Boom as GAIMIN taking a big fight for themselves, although BZM able to claim Tofu.
Yeah, pretty good from GAIMIN. They're really getting value out of this Infest Bomb right now on that Storm. Getting that Viper kill, just negating Amar in that fight. He will have BKB probably in the next big fight though, so then I think this play will not be successful next time around unless Lifestealer gets a Desolator so they have enough in the tank to just bring him down right away when they jump in. But yeah, good stuff for GAIMIN Gladiators. I think in a pretty good position here to proceed in the game, and obviously the BKB on Primal Beast, huge reveal there. Ace was able to create a ton of space in the fight, never got chronoed because Yuragi wasn't really there in the beginning and Clockwork was on the other side of the fight, so got completely free movement.
Players here.
Yep, and for the rest of the item progressions, we can see that Dyrachyo is essentially halfway to his Desolator, which is going to be a huge power spike. What do you think of Ace working on, we've been seeing a decent amount of this, the Aghanim Scepter from Primal Beast. I mean, the first thing I think of is breaking, but it feels like it's been picked up consistently even without that in mind.
Yeah,
just a lot of damage.
I have to say, I don't have the best read on the, like, when and why this exactly is good in a specific game, but I will say one of the major upsides to buying it is that it gives you the mana for Refresher, right? So when you do take this path, instead of like certain other heroes in order to get Refreshable by Scotty, you're definitely not doing that. So it's kind of between the Axe and Shiva, and I think in this game maybe he feels like the armor from Shiva is actually not going to do that much because the enemy team has so much magic damage that maybe he's better off getting some more utility this way and then transitioning to Refresher. I think that's probably the line of reasoning. But I'm not certain when I would say the Scepter is better than Shiva, because I think Shiva is really good on this hero in general too, so... But anyway, are those the 3 mangoes he started the game with? That would be hilarious. It might be. I mean, maybe it's just kept... I mean, they give region, right?
Yeah, of course, just a little bit. I'm sure it's really helped out a lot as Smoke...
Does break here. Yuragi doesn't
don't know what direction. It is daytime.
Oh, guess this is wrong.
On the wrong side. Tofu, you have the zip coming in from Boom. Electric Vortex is there. And he's going to easily be taken out, so a big pickoff for GG.
Close to a time walk, but not quite. But that was global expended in half of Storm's mana pool, so maybe OG will look for something here.
Yeah, they're going to start out onto Ace. Already at half HP, pops that BKB. Viper Strike as well, attempting to TP out.
Not enough.
Will be fine. But Celery, not so much. Again, the sacrifice, I think GAIMIN is A-okay with that.
That was, I want to say, about 1/10 of a second away from a Primal Beast kill, because Taiga just barely couldn't get on the other side of him to cog him for the knockback stun. So he did just get the BKB off on Primal there. With a level 2 hookshot, that's a kill 100%. Maybe if Taiga hits the angle a little bit better, he kind of got blocked by the creep on the left, so he couldn't find the angle there. And those things matter a lot. Like, that would have been a huge kill. It's the richest hero on the side of GAIMIN Gladiators that OG just narrowly miss. They do get the CM, as you mentioned, though, and that was a dieback from Celery, so he's on the sidelines for a very long time.
That aura is going to be very missed right now.
Yeah, level 1 aura.
Ace cares about that.
He has his mangoes. Wait, where are his mangoes?
Oh.
Did he eat them all?
I guess.
He's really hungry all of a sudden. Do you ever, like, shotgun mangoes? Just, like, 3 back-to-back?
No. I'm surprised that's in the diet of a Primal Beast, if I'm being honest. As the Tier 1 tower is done. 3K lead now for OG. When it comes to the old Roche, Synderin,
yeah,
who would you say has the advantage?
Probably
Neither of them are like super Roche killers. What about like the team fight in the Roche as well?
Yeah, when Duracho gets a Deso, it definitely gets easier for the Radiant to do it overall, but I don't know, I feel like probably OG, if you put me on the spot, like you have Battery Assault, you have the Disarm from Pango, it all adds up, Poison Attack, lots of damage over time. The fight itself, I think it's completely down to Global Silence. GAIMIN Gladiators lineup can absolutely fight in any area of the map if they have vision and they get the initiation. If they don't, or Global is on cooldown, I think things get a lot trickier, so. Taiga opting to go Shard. I think pretty rare, I would say, that Clockwork buys this first item.
That's true.
But really valuing that vision that you get out of that jetpack. I generally consider Force Staff to just be a better item than this, because essentially a lot of the times that you use jetpack to escape, you could do it with Force Staff too. But what Force Staff also offers is it gives you more mana and you can use it on allies. But obviously the thing that it doesn't give is the flying movement. It's the flying movement.
You don't get a jetpack.
And it doesn't give style points, right? And style points are pretty important on the TI main stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Generally, the less you care, the better. So Amar's the kind of player you want.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate, actually. I mean, there was a lot of questions when they were at their first LAN this year. How would they react? Because they're very good online. It's literally the same thing, right?
But then they had an interview with the coach, and he was like, I guess we'll win. And everybody was so inspired, they won the whole event. So
can't blame them. This Rocket Flare will show that the Roche is being taken right now from GAIMIN. You can see OG not that close right now. They're going to smoke up and try to contest, but this Roche is going down.
It seems like the purpose of this from GAIMIN Gladiators is to bait a fight. I think they know that they're not going to get it in time.
Yeah, they back out for now. So that's what they'll already use as the hook shot comes in, will connect, but there's the Global Silence into the Pulverize, so it looks like Taiga will be the first to fall. Gets off the cogs, oh no, BGM stuck inside the cliff essentially. Again, after the shield crack, finally finds his way to the high ground, and Celery will be the first kill on the side of OG, but the buyback now onto the Jakira, but there we see Yuragi with the Chronosphere, all on the lifesteal, and he is dead. 50 seconds of no Duracho, and that might mean OG gets Roche, but we'll see. There's only a couple kills, but again, the lifesteal is the big one.
The fact that OG come out of that
after the
with
first
that result,
thunder.
like double, he went from stuck to stuck with Rolling Thunder. Like
it happens.
They're gonna see the replay here of it. So good global, in my opinion. I think they have to kind of combo break here and get the Clockwork out of the picture immediately, so they get a numbers advantage. But that Panga roll and then. This hero has some of the funniest moments in the game, but they were still okay.
Obviously, at times.
Yeah, Roche, very low.
It is low, but the hook shot onto Ace, and it looks like Yuragi is going to get the Aegis, no problem. Ace now cannot get out of the cogs easily, and as a result, OG pick him up. And now
there's a haste.
Boom. Pretty low on mana, but BZM pretty low on HP. So they reset, being happy taking that first Roshan for themselves. Now they're sporting that 4K lead. And the Global Silences, I mean, they've been consistently getting kills, but in like a Roche fight, like that was essentially, they popped it, they killed the support, and the support just popped back pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, they don't stay dead very long in these. And if you're just getting a support out the Global Silence, maybe not.
This has been one of the biggest downsides of the hero for a long time, right? Is that when you play it as support, global is such a huge part of what your hero offers that if you don't get a big payoff, it's not the greatest. So I think, I mean, given the circumstances there, if he doesn't global, I think that hook shot just leads to a really problematic fight for GAIMIN Gladiators. So he probably feels forced to use it, but it's like, I think that was a good global, but it was just because he had to. He doesn't want to use it like that. So. You want to, in this game, you want a global to kill Faceless. You want a global to kill Pango when you get that jump off. But you kind of have to kill them in the Storm Stun because Pango has the Yules into Blink and Void has the BKB.
We should mention Tofu does have 4 staff and Celery's working on one for himself now as well.
Yep.
So just having these options for the cogs.
Yeah, you need that for sure.
It's like here, best.
Celery,
but here comes the initiation from Boom. Look at the burst damage. Global Silence is there, but Yuragi pops the BKB and the Chronosphere. Trying to focus down Celery to start things out. They'll get him relatively easily. Now Duracho gets destroyed. Nisha gets credit for that, and Boom able to zip away. And Taiga, no hook shot here. So Boom is fine, but The initiation from GAIMIN looked good initially, not able to find themselves a kill though. And that was still either way on an Aegis holding Yuragi.
Yeah, they didn't have Ace as a part of the play either, right? So they were lacking that bit of damage and teamfight control that Primal Beast offers. But sometimes it is like this, that Primal Beast either, I'm not sure if that exact moment, if he was pushing out bottom, because if you're all 5 heroes missing all the time, your plays get really telegraphed. Sometimes you have to show a core to give the enemy team the chance of getting out of position or feeling safe when they're not. So it's understandable that Ace is maybe showing here bottom, but it's just a tricky situation when their lanes are this pushed in bottom and mid. Like you gotta take care of that when you're making the play as well. It's hard. And OG's counterplay just again proving to be too strong.
Yeah, Yuragi, he might use the Aegis here. Nope, time loss, he's fine. And now a lot of mana missing from Boom. BZM.
Are they actually
that rolling thunder? Celery, he's going to be spotted and easily brought down from OG as Ace gets force staff action. Now the zip in from Boom. This is going to be an FS bomb. They're going to try to focus down Yuragi. They get him. That's life number 1. But the Storm is already dead. You can see the uproar Aghanim Scepter from Ace doing massive damage as he secures himself a double kill. But now all onto Dyrachyo. Gets bashed up, gets brought down, and it looks like Ace is next on the list. Pops the uproar one more time. Oh, he actually gets a nice pulverize. Triple kill for him. And oh my god! Ultra kill, and then eventually brought down to Yuragi's hand.
How the hell did he get an ultra out of that?
Man, I love that Aghanim Scepter.
I have to say, it's kind of winning me over right now that I excelled.
I mean, in Aghanim's Labyrinth, that's the hardest parts. And
that was a pretty strong fight. He did more damage than his entire team combined in that fight.
Absolutely. That, I mean, that is an issue, right? Because you're losing the lifesteal and the Storm pretty early in these fights. You see the replay here.
Yeah, so Maiden dead straight off the bat. And that's a very nice use there from Misha of the Psychic Headband to push the Primal Beast away a little bit and buy some time.
This'll come in handy.
This connection is super good though. Really isolating, killing Viper. I think he had 1 second cooldown on BKB there, by the way, Amar. So could have been a very, very different outcome if that had happened 3 seconds later.
Oh, here we go, the uproar. This is gonna feel real good. Oh yeah. Into the pulverize. A hook shot into live. Taiga. Well, BZM is here to try to help.
It's disarmed there.
And GAIMIN just disengaging a bit as, okay. Celery with the freezing field just wants to hit the R button this game. Understandable. Pretty hard game to get that off, honestly.
Yeah, if he doesn't use it, I think Taiga was actually trying to bait. He still had stick and mech ready. Wasn't expecting the freezing field damage to pop off there, I think. Wanted the Storm to have to zip to finish the kill, and then maybe they could have made a counterplay. Not worried about it.
What do you think of open wounds being picked up? Like an actual person.
A lot of times
lifesteal, you get it off of Roche. I mean, against high HP targets, it's extremely good because it's percentage based for each proc, but I mean, they don't. I mean, the strength here they have is clockwork, so a little bit odd.
I guess it helps him stay on top of targets and
some extra lifesteal.
He becomes a little bit less less dependent on Storm Spirit constantly. I think for the most part in these team fights, Dyrachyo has been kited really hard. We've talked about all the counters to Primal Beast. They're counters to lifestealer for similar reason, right? Viper Strike, Cogs, Hookshot. If you have this shard, maybe you can stay on top of a target or at least reconnect on them later in the fight. It's a relatively small price to pay for the opportunity that it could offer you, right?
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
But yeah, obviously you would rather get it from Roche, but that has not been happening for GAIMIN in this game.
Yeah.
Yuragi.
Oh, hook shot. Taiga finds Celery again.
He still doesn't
Mara is in the area to help finish the job. So support kill as Boom. He's going to be seen here from Misha, but pretty hard to catch that Storm Spirit without either. I mean, they have Ice Path Chrono and Hookshot.
That is quite possibly the worst Gauntlet challenge I've ever seen. You get Hookshot by Clockwork, isolated, and you don't have Force Staff, and then you challenge him to a duel as Crystal Maiden. I think you cannot use the Gauntlet any worse than that. Very good from Celery. He knew that he was doomed. And
I mean, Celery, he's a memer, so.
You're 31 minutes in and you don't have Force Staff on Maiden. He's having such a hard game. He had the dieback earlier we talked about. He's just been dying every fight. 11 deaths here. And it's...
Oh, we got the zip in onto Amar. Dyrachyo Well, it's a BKB from Amar. He's going to try to walk away, and the rest of his team is here. The bash comes out of the swashbuckle, but now the global silence in retreat for GAIMIN. But the Yule Scepter, boom, out of mana, and brought down again. OG punishing everything that GAIMIN is attempting here in this game number 2.
Amar's just so tanky. This is his standard Viper build. He tanks up. Dragonlance Scotty. 3k health, 25 armor. Lifestealer doesn't have the damage.
Yeah, Doraccio, he's gonna be jetpacked on, and the bash comes out from BZM, gets off the open wounds, but it's not gonna matter. He is caught out. And 2 big kills for OG, as they can try to extend this lead now. Of course, Roche, we won't know when he'll spawn for the next 30 seconds, but they do have very good presence on the map, does OG.
Yeah. And Silencer's early efficiency is really starting to fall off now, right? Because this is what usually happens with the hero. Enemies ultimately get the gold to counteract your global. If you're not very farmed and have a refresher yourself, you can't really offer the same dangerous utility in the fights you could before.
Or you survive until you get tier 4 items, and then half of them will dispel global silence.
That doesn't help either. But Silencer has come back into the meta after a long drought, primarily because one of his biggest weaknesses in the past was his laning stage just wasn't as good as it used to be, and he got buffs in that direction that a lot of the times makes it worth it, even if because global is an incredible ability for a decent portion of the game, and the downside isn't as significant as it used to be with the laning stage. But now we're reaching that traditional state of Silencer that happens pretty often in this kind of game, where you feel like you're one button more or less, and you need to use it perfectly.
BZM has the
hard spell to use
right now. He's got Ags, he's got Shard. He has the 2.5 second shield crash talent at 15. He is doing a lot. He even has the Brigand's Blade, tier 2 item that he's going to still hold on to because it's that good on this hero. He's going to do a lot of damage in these fights. As long as he's able to get off the Rolling Thunder, he is going to be very fearsome. We have smoke from both sides. As Boom is being he's infested on right now.
Radiant's top tower is.
I mean, we should say one downside to infest bombing, because that used to be the way to play this Storm Nax combo from back in the day. You're not getting the HP benefit, really. Like, it's not a save. We've seen that from the group stage, how powerful that can be.
That's true. Yeah. If you're always engaging with infest, it never does anything else than that, right?
Yeah.
I will say, though, the way these fights have played out most of the time, I don't know how much of a save it would have really been.
Probably.
I think most of the time that OG isolate them, they're kind of just in trouble regardless of an extra 500 or 1,000 health, however much it is, depending on level. All right.
Okay. Well, they are going for the old Roche. It's already at half HP. And I don't think OG's going to get here in time, so this is going to be a nice sneak.
That is really, really important, actually, for GAIMIN.
Doraccio regretting buying his shard now. Although Boom will take it, that's a very good one as well.
They put the Aegis on Lifestealer, not on the Storm. Generally considered one of the single best Aegis carriers in the game because of that full mana pool you get back, but...
That is interesting.
I don't know what the logic is here, because a lot of the time when you put Aegis on Lifestealer in this like Lifestealer Storm combination, it's because Lifestealer is going to go and hit high ground, right? That does not seem possible in this game right now.
Yes.
I think you have to find team fights, and that's where I like it more on Storm probably, so you can play more YOLO, just jump in, expend his mana pool, get a second life, and try again. Because as it stands, OG's heroes are just getting so damn tanky. Viper with the 3k health as we've covered, you've got Greaves on clock. Tango's got
Yuragi, he gets initiated on.
Okay.
And he gets blown up from 100 to 0 instantly.
Like I said, they don't have the damage, Shannon. It's well, case in point right there.
If they're able to use, yeah, the shard does a lot of damage from Boom, of course, but I mean, like I said, the open wounds, it does percentage-based damage. Doesn't matter how tanky you are. Of course, they do have ways to dispel it, but if you're going to be stun locked, then it eats through you very quickly.
I think Yuragi was really surprised to die there. His 3k health and a Titan Sliver just died in the vortex. Crazy. Obviously, Boom with the level 20 talent has that longer vortex, so helps out. Is eyeing up a BKB now, has the Axe. Yeah, don't count GAIMIN Gladiators out, even though it looks hard, because that Roche could have potentially changed everything. I think a little bit of a blunder there from OG. It's easy to say from our perspective that that is one they need to defend, but just didn't have the read at the right time that it was happening. And now GAIMIN Gladiators
Dire's structures are fortified.
foot on the pedal, just straight down to bottom tier 2. I don't think OG are interested whatsoever in trying to defend this one.
I will say, even though, I mean, we're seeing them actually hit buildings with his Aegis, right? So that, like you said, having that in Lifestealer does help. And that's something that they did not take advantage of last time, is when they got the Roche, they were not able to do anything with it, as the Macropyre used to slow down Ace, but he's going to be fine.
He was eyeing up the Shivas, but he changed it now to a Refresher.
He gets hook shot, and the Cogs back in, but the zip in. Oh, the instant bash onto Boom. He has to use these Yules just to keep himself alive. We'll have to zip away now, as even the Infest is used to actually disengage. Looks like Tofu's going to be the sacrifice, but that was an instant bash from the Swash after the zip in from the Storm Spirit. It's a little bit unfortunate for GAIMIN, but they don't lose too much.
I believe the math on getting a bash when you... Oh, hang on.
They're going to go back in, and you can see they're going to blow up Amar right off the bat. And the buyback from the Silencer just to get the global silence off. And now the Pulverize coming through as well. Double kill for Dyrachyo, as Yuragi wants to try to fight, at least trying to get the Crystal Maiden. He'll do so. He'll time walk back out. Not a whole lot of mana to speak of now onto the Lifestealer, but he's got that Ghoul Frenzy, Cinderin, which is all he really needs. He gets hookshot though, so Taiga gives himself enough space to walk away. This Diffusal Blade is being very annoying on the side of OG against GAIMIN, but GAIMIN coming out on top, another fight here.
There is still Chrono. That was never expended in that fight. Global Silence on cooldown here from Tofu. Can't protect against Void going for that if he wants to, but yeah, pretty good again from GAIMIN Gladiators. Sure, you use your Silencer buyback, but I don't think that was too terrible. Aegis, however, only 1 minute left, so I think they would love to find one more fight as long as this is online. Global up in 30 would align very nicely with the play, and you are seeing them all go back to base to get resources, and I would imagine a smoke could be on the menu next. If they have any left, they don't, I think. None of them are on their supports, so maybe that's just not a possible play. Ace is showing himself.
Yeah, he was looking for something. He's going to get gone on again, though, and he's going to be bursted again. He does have buyback if he wants to expend it, but it looks like OG will likely just attempt to get back to base. So GAIMIN, again, with the Aegis, has made such a big difference in these fights that they feel very confident to go in.
That kind of felt like a bait from Yuragi, but again, it's just, he doesn't survive. They don't force staff him, they don't get the hook shot in time. I think that time the Swashbuckle did also bash, so I don't even think he was unlucky on the Pango. It's the wrong read on how tanky he is, really, and I don't really blame him that much. I'm also a little bit surprised with how easily they kill him, but considering they already did it bottom, by now he should know what the game state is, right? So this time around, I think less excusable than the first one. GAIMIN, I mean, this game looked like it was getting really grim for them. I think, yeah, the win probability was 84% for the Dire, and now we're pretty much back to a 50-50. So anyone's game again.
Indeed. Hook shot, Dyrachyo no more with the Aegis. He's gonna get pushed back, but he gets the Infest off in a creep, healing up a little bit, trying to get his HP back via right-clicking, but it's not gonna happen. But the reinforcements have arrived as Boom able to get one, but Taiga buys back into the game. Ace pops to BKB, now focusing on Amar with that trample, doing quite a bit of damage. Now we'll have to just TP out, but he gets back. Whoa! Okay.
It was on cooldown, I think, from
Shield Crash. The bash was on cooldown?
Yeah, I think he got a bash from Shield Crashing on the left.
Okay.
So I think his basher was on cooldown for that one. Because, like, that was a Shield Crash plus a full Swashbuckle. If you don't bash, I don't know, it's like 25% maybe to not get a bash when you use both of those together. I think we're going to see it perhaps in the replay here, so keep an eye on that in the end off to the left. Nice global here, by the way, was almost enough to save the Lifestealer.
Didn't mention the Greaves, by the way, on clock to be able to dispel that. Very nice.
Exactly, but the global just made him take a little bit of time to make that play, and that was enough to not get the full Cogs combo off. But we're going to see here, I think this is where he already crashed off to the left, right? He was on cooldown down there. So.
Yeah, no, he's happy. Yeah. That was a close one.
Dyrachyo not too happy with that death, though. It seems like both carries are a little bit too far forward. Like maybe each team needs a Lotus Orb or something like that to maybe protect a little bit from these jumps.
He's gonna get hook shot on, and the item is still down there, but he pops the uproar. No more bashes as a result, at least temporarily. Duracio's come to play as well. There's a zip in from Boom. The focus again onto Uragi, and he's dead again! Third time they've done this. Taiga, he's in his jetpack, and he's TPing home. They find a lone Jakiro, though. So Misha drops to the deck, and GAIMIN seem to have turned this game around completely. They've been winning every little engagement since that Aegis was taken.
Is it time, Shannon? Is this when you buy A on this convoy?
Oh man, I mean, do you think status resist would help here, or is that not enough? I mean, it obviously feels bad to have to go for it, but
he even swapped out his status resist, right? He gave away the Titan Sliver to get a ninja gear, so I think in this, it's actually kind of ironic. I think in this moment he might have actually survived with the Titan Sliver if he had had it. I think that would have, out of the 3 times they killed him this way, this one it might have worked, and that was the time he didn't have it. I don't know. I'm joking about the disc, of course, but they need to find some sort of way of protecting their Void. OG have really dropped the ball a little bit here in the last few minutes.
Yeah, Boom has Sheepstick now.
That's huge. So yeah, now I don't know. I do think you have to play tighter around the Void. And keep in mind, OG have 1 Force Staff, and it's on the Viper. He has the Pipe.
Boom actually initiates onto BZM, but there's the Eon Disc proccing for him. Duraccio trying to re-engage, but he's going to get the Infest off onto Boom. He's getting bashed into Oblivion, into the Rolling Thunder. They take out the Storm Spirit. Beautiful coordination from OG as Ace kind of left all alone right now, but he's a big, juicy boy, so might not want to touch him here, Cinderin. BZM gets off the bash. Ace has to use Refresher, and he gets bashed mid-TP. Oh, but gets off the Onslaught and into the Yules. I would assume this is going to be a kill eventually, but he gets off the Pulverize now. Is he going to get this kill on the BZM? Pops the Shard, and Ace just getting kited with the time dilation on top, and eventually the big bad beast is dead.
That is terrifying, though. The fact that he almost turns that into a kill is kind of ridiculous. Again, the damage recap for the... How many fights does Ace have to do more damage than his teammates combined?
Man, I'm sold on the Ags, by the way. It's really good.
I'm very impressed, too, I have to say. It's doing more than I was expecting.
But the result of this fight means that third Roche with Aghanim Scepter on OG. Yuragi's going to take the Ags, so now he will bash via the Time Walk.
Yep.
Of course, that won't help him survive.
It will be a very reliable way for him of stopping the Primal Beast from doing his thing, though.
And now they're attempting to go high ground. No Storm for 15 seconds. You can see Ace does have buyback, despite being dead for 50 right now. Hook shot. And Tofu, he is donezo.
No buyback on him.
Yeah, 90 seconds of no silencer. That is big. Now they're focusing down onto Celery. He does have buyback himself, but Amar and company really want to go deep. The Chronosphere completely wins other than Amar, and that is going to likely be the death of him. We'll see if he gets the tips or not, but either way, technically speaking, GAIMIN does defend, and now the zip from Boom, finding the Jakiro. Double kill for him now. So they defend, and they got, no, the Aegis is still there, and it's still 4 minutes on the Aegis. And full buybacks here for OG as well, but that did require 2 buybacks on GAIMIN, so it was costly, Syndra.
And a helpful Chrono.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. I mean, you can totally understand why he's going for that Chrono. If it lands, we're going to have the replay here. So I really like this engage first off from Taiga. There's a 1-minute cooldown and Silencer's buyback. I think OG have track of this here, so they know it's a high-impact kill. They find the Maiden here. And if this Chrono connects on the Storm there, they kill them both. We're talking 0.3 seconds, so it's like easy to be like, well, what are you doing, Yuragi?
Oh, we got a double buyback from OG as they've lost their mid-set of racks. And that means GAIMIN resetting. You can see Amar not too happy with being chronoed by his teammate. Understandable. Ace is infested on. You can see GAIMIN. If they can get a nice little cheeky kill on the BZM, that'll be a dieback.
Okay.
Zip. Okay, that's the Aghanim Scepter. Electric Vortex onto the both supports, and they're both dead just like that. And now pulverized, but the Eon Disc procs is BZM trying to find some distance. Duraccio and company trying to focus down Yuragi again. There's the onside. There's the first deck.
Do they have more stuns?
We'll see. Spawns back in. Frostbite is dispelled instantly. Celery getting okay. Boom goes in with another big stun. The Yule's keeping BZM alive, but this might be the death of him. Gets off the get an enormous kill just based on not having buyback anymore.
Oh my god, I can't believe
OG dodging a bullet.
That.
My goodness.
Such a great initiation from GAIMIN Gladiators, all set up by that offensive observer ward that they had in the base, seeing both supports. And they get a great jump with the AoE Vortex into follow-up Primal Beast Onslaught. But still, in the end, I don't know if the backtrack gods were helping out the Void there as well to delay this maybe a little bit further. But look at that beautiful engage there. Easy double kill there. And now, keep in mind, Ace, I don't know if you mentioned this, he has the Pulverized talent. Did you mention that? The 25 talent? So the Primal Beast has two amazing choices to make. At 25, you either double the duration of Pulverize, or you make it Pierce BKB.
GM is going to use his shard, but they're going to try to focus down. Amar, the open wounds is ripping him a new one, but there's the Chronosphere. Oh, he gets popped outside. Boom will live. Unbelievable. And we'll see if they're able to turn this around as Yuragi. Oh my god, he time walks everything off. But BZM is taking the brunt of the damage, uses the shield crash, trying to get back to his base, but the onslaught finally finishes off the Pangolier. Dyrachyo barely alive as the Uproar doing a good amount of damage, but Ace will finally fall. So technically a 1-for-1 exchange. Tofu able to TP out. Everything is so close.
Everything is literally like 1 millimeter getting bounced out of the chrono, 1 millisecond on the TP, everything just tooth and nail. I thought OG might have lost the game there, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, when he gets bumped out of that chrono, I think Void was on 5% health and got time walk off. Like, so close on both sides. You're going to see everything here. So that Rolling Thunder is now going to be on top of Boom. There's the chrono. So now he gets bounced out, gets force-staffed, and now Yuragi is going to drop super low, backtracking some of the damage.
Yeah, just
time
some.
in and out.
Oh, meanwhile, Amar, he's dead. 115 seconds of no Viper. Big kill for GAIMIN.
Was he just out solo pushing mid?
Yes.
His teammates were too far away to help him. He does not have buyback.
That might be it.
And Pango's dead as... I mean, I guess the reason he feels somewhat comfortable doing that is Primal Beast is dead. You're not safe if your teammates aren't there.
They're playing it safe. They're not going to go for Throne despite being in a 4v5 advantage or 4v3 advantage. So we'll take the top set of racks and then can waddle their way back down to bottom to get megas. But still so much time without these heroes. But here's the initiation. Global silence, but the instant BKB. But now the bash applied to Yuragi. Now trying to focus down Dyrachyo. He's going to have to time walk out, and instead they're going to lose Taiga. Does have buyback, though. Yeah. That's 2 sets. Now to the bottom lane they go. Still 30 seconds until their Primal Beast is back.
I actually think OG had to try for that. If they don't do it, they lose the lane for free and the play just happens bottom instead. Now they have a buyback play, potentially, with a 10-second cooldown on Chrono. This is defendable because Ace is dead and Pango is spawning. GAIMIN actually needs to be a little bit cautious here, but they don't know necessarily what could be coming their way right now. Nice rage reaction on the ice path, though. Bash.
Gets bashed inside, though.
Chrono is available.
Augie.
Not gonna try it.
Yeah, reverse time walk back out. And you can see Amar obviously dead for 30 seconds. He's the one holding cheese as well, so that's an important item potentially that's still sidelined. But now it's a 5v4 until Amar is back. But they were not able to secure megas. And OG still have everything at their disposal once Amar is back online. Man, what?
This is not at all how I imagined this game playing out 30 minutes ago. Like, no way would I have imagined that we were getting this. What a treat, though. It feels like every team fight has some sort of detail that means everything.
Yeah, and it's always something very small, technically speaking, right?
Like one key backtrack, or one hero getting pushed a little, or one perfect force stab.
All right, the initiation onto Yuragi. He's going to get pulverized. Is this enough? It is, but he does have buyback available. The bash not enough to keep Boom in place. Big rolling thunder from BZM as the Viper strike now to Dyrachyo. He's going to get chronoed as well, and he's going to be brought down. He also has buyback, though, but that's the bigger kill on Ace, who does not.
And he used Refresher, too, before he died, which I guess actually doesn't matter because he doesn't have buybacks. Thank you, Shane.
Great analysis, as always, from Cinderin. As now OG, I don't know who's in the driver's seat. I don't even know.
I feel like have they kept track of this buyback timing on Primal? Like, it's a minute away. Sometimes you don't have the exact timing, and it's like on a hunch, right? If you know for a fact it's not up, this is where you could push for barracks. And again, they do kill Yuragi, but this time in his own base with the
these
buyback.
pulverizes are absurd.
Imagine if Ace gets level 30.
Yeah,
so he has the other talent too, because that is just absolutely dirty. 100% pulverized duration that pierces magic immunity makes it effectively a 6-second single target stun.
Yeah.
That does AoE damage.
Not too bad.
And it lines up perfectly with your BKB duration, right? You pop BKB blink in, 6-seconder into a 6-second pulverize. Couldn't be better.
Wind Waker.
OG are not going to capitalize on this at all.
Yeah.
They can't. But they will have their eyes on potentially Roche, which we know it's going to be a while. The potential spawn time is already up, so it could spawn at any second, and neither team is scouting it right now. Obviously, OG will buy a Rockets there as soon as Taiga is up. They don't know yet. And I do think the crucial thing there is, sure, OG defend their base, and it is a pretty good teamfight win, but I think Void's buyback is worth more than 5k net worth. Like, I think if GAIMIN Gladiators lead was 10k before that fight and it dropped to 5, I still think I would consider that a win for the time being, because they have a clear way to victory now.
Yes.
Killing Void ends the game.
I mean, look at the buyback situation right now, Simon.
Yep.
All 5 of OG have none.
Yep.
All 5 for GAIMIN have theirs.
You just need any sort of good core kill, especially faceless, and I feel like you've got this one locked down. You also have a 9-second BKB on Boom. He finally buys it and has buyback.
A very late game BKB.
He got it minute 53. Okay, Taiga.
Is that going to be the kill onto support? But there's a global silence. Boom comes in with a beautiful electric vortex onto 2. The support is already dead, and Amar extremely low on top. But he pops the cheese. Now he's taking the right clicks from Dyrachyo. But there's the Chronosphere with the Macro Pyre on top. Is it enough to take out Dyrachyo? It's going to be close. He gets silence, so cannot rage, cannot use open runes. But he dies and buys back. 3 dead for OG. No buybacks available, and that might do it. GAIMIN will have a free path to this next Roche.
Yeah, they're going to get
free
Misha
path
too.
potentially for the game.
Misha doesn't have buyback either.
Indeed.
4 dead on the sidelines.
Misha is done.
If they've kept track of the buybacks, they don't do this. So GAIMIN Gladiators don't actually know the game state here. This is 100% over if they just push.
It's always very...
Absolutely no way Void could defend this.
Maybe they're just going for stats. They need Roche kills, Cinderin, to get their quest completed.
Yep.
Maybe that's a bonus that GAIMIN Gladiators, the org, will give them. The more Roche kills.
We promised you would bring you the...
Oh, we get to see Lifestealer, Aghanim Scepter. Yuragi, he's going to get punished. The sheep stick is there. Please use Infest on top of him. For the love of God, no, we won't. But it's a full team wipe, and GG is called as GG. GAIMIN Gladiators extend it to game number 3. What a game. I was not expecting them to come back, but that was it the second Roche? Or was it the one they snuck? The one they snuck.
Yeah, they
basically won the game.
Behind. What an insane comeback this was, honestly. Like, that's got to be such a huge morale boost too. You know that you were losing that game, and you still clawed your way back into it. You made the right moves. I think, obviously, Boom on the Storm really pushed the hero to its limits. It wasn't always perfect, but most of the time really found the right opportunities together with Dyrachyo on the Lifestealer. And man, Ace, talk about a carry performance on Primal Beast. He had 2 or 3 team fights where 2 of his cores are dead.
Yeah.
And he finds trades, keeps himself in the game. The ultra kill he got top propels him to get that refresher that has such a huge impact later in the game. Everything just came together. I'm super impressed.
They were able to take, I mean, those kills on Yuragi throughout the game.
Yeah.
Where he is stun
He's got to
locked.
be kicking himself.
He literally has no time to even react. That has just great play from GAIMIN, great comeback for them. Let's go to the panel so they can wrap up game 2 and we can get to game 3 very soon.
Thank you very much. The curse has been broken. GAIMIN Gladiators are the first to prove that you can tie on the main stage of the International 11. We're going the distance. We're going to that 3rd game. And my, oh my, in what fashion are they able to do that? Of course, joined by Jenkins, Lacoste, and Effie. Jenkins, this game, it started out with everybody thinking, like, you know what? 2-0. It's another 2-0 on the main stage.
It did look that way. The Viper lane, Amar did very well versus Lifestealer. We were talking about it backstage. The fact that with the nerfs to Rage, it feels like you can't really just, rage off the Viper debuffs. But GAIMIN Gladiators, they won through sheer outplay in the team fights in the late game. Ace got an ultra kill on his own.
It's about to happen.
It's about to happen.
He was alone.
How?
It's so good.
He was alone. And the casters at this point are already saying, you know, Ace sure to fall. He takes two more
Ace sure
with
to
him.
fall, but he got an ultra kill, I guess. All right.
But yeah, it was just sheer tenacity from Gladiators. It looked really bad for them at certain points, but they just held on and they came back with a vengeance. But also just as their heroes scaled and as they were able to get this item progression and the gems to take away OG's vision, the Abyssal on the AC on Lifeslayer, who's suddenly able to fight the Void Spirit and the Faceless Void, and they just had so much lockdown coming out for him, which I didn't actually expect him to have. But once the Storm got his items too and started to get these surprise zips and the hexes,
The sheep was really important,
It felt like Faceless Void was stun locked in so many fights, and they just had a means to catch the Pango as well. But we do have to talk about some of the misplays that OG did with the Chronospheres.
I think they were forced.
They were a couple where he, like, there's a Rolling Thunder inside a Chrono, then he gets bounced from it.
I get it, though. I actually get it. Because of exactly what you were mentioning. It's the double hexes, the basher, like, the global sounds, like, it felt like he had to, he's like, I just got a Chrono. Like, I got a Chrono. They keep hexing me. Like, they keep grabbing me. Like, I have to Chrono. And then the Chronos are, like, on his team more than the enemy team because he's feeling pressured to do it.
I feel like a bit of lack of items on supports from OG, because they did itemize very selflessly. I would say, I mean, sure, you can think about Guardian Greaves. It's a good choice, don't get me wrong, where he can dispel the global silence, counter-initiate with the hook shot, but the only one who had it was pretty much Amar with the Pike, because Amisha, he did have E on this to protect himself, and also Yule Scepter to be able to dispel the global silence. I feel like maybe a Lotus Orb or another Force Staff would make a difference there. So many times this Faceless Void being caught, and yeah, I think
he was on his own.
We wanted to see Boom on an explosive hero, and yeah, this is one of his best, if not the best hero. He's shown it time and time during all 3 DPC tours, and also like the execution of some of these fights, like it makes it very easy for gaming Gladiators, where you have Infest Bomb with the Storm to follow it up with the Global Silence. OG, they understood every single time they do that, we need to take another shot. Like immediately, they go for a fight because they know without Global Silence being available, they need to make stuff done.
Yeah, at the start of the game, before the draft even began, we said that one of the criticisms on Gaming Gladiators in the past has been that they've been fairly predictable. I think that this game in particular, we saw the end of that draft with them shifting the Primal Beast back to the position 3 and getting that hero, getting the Storm Spirit for Boom. It kind of saved the game for them, saved the draft for them, and it blew the game wide open. It took a little while to get to that in the game, but it worked out, absolutely. It's going to be a story of momentum here, because this is the first time we get to a game 3, Jenkins.
Thank GAIMIN. Thank GAIMIN. It's just ridiculous. Like, and it was a good game too. That's the thing. It was a good game too. It wasn't just GAIMIN Gladiators turning around and stomping. And I almost forget what the narrative is for what happens in game 3s. What do we say? Is usually game 3 is stomp in one direction? What do we usually say with these? I don't.
Is it?
I think GAIMIN Gladiators, they
yes, we do. We say the same thing.
They definitely do have an upper hand here, because this is a momentum for them. This is a big W, and OG, they knew that they had this game in the bag. And also one more thing to notice is this break mechanic from Aghanim Scepter on Primal Beast. He breaks Viper, he breaks Faceless Void Bash, he breaks level 25 talent on Faceless Void, which is Backtrack. One of the few things that you can break a talent, which sounds ridiculous, but it does